Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 30. Amanda James, hello.
Hello, episode 30. That's my age. 30.
Absolutely, it is. Yes. And because it's your age and it's a very special episode, you're going to be serving snacks and drinks throughout. Isn't that right?
Sure. Yeah, why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah. Place your order.
My pleasure.
So, today we're going to continue talking about the Sarah Boone investigation. So, last time we completed her interrogation. So, we heard Sarah's side of the story. That's really the only side that we can hear because George, unfortunately, isn't around to be able to tell it in full anyway. We were able to hear some of it, though, when they started to play the videos that Sarah took of him during his death. So, today, what we're going to do is listen to some interviews. And these interviews take place on the day of the 24th with Brian. But then also a couple of days later on the 27th, the detectives spoke to one of George's siblings, so his younger brother Juan. And then they spoke to the neighbors. And we've talked a little bit about the neighbors before, in that they were going to be able to provide some insight onto what they heard on that night. So we're going to hear from Brandon and Vincent. So today also joining us is Sarah. You can see her on the screen. She'll be sitting there throughout. She's not very happy. I think that's to say the least. To me, she's giving sadness, but she's giving mostly disappointment. She's
That's
disappointed in all of you.
hmm That's what I got from it too. She just looks disappointed. You can tell she's shaking her head, She's got her
Mm-hmm.
that frown going.
Yeah, and her forehead,
hmm
she's got that forehead where she's looking like, I can't believe you. You're all assuming. So I think that's
They
what she's
really let
upset
her
about.
down.
Yeah. Yeah.
hmm
So the very first one that we're going to listen to is Juan, who, again, like I said, is George's younger brother. And for these interviews, I am going to link the original videos in the description if you want to hear them uninterrupted. I don't know why you would.
Yeah. Why would you? Explain in the comments.
Yes. Yeah, if you're going to do that, you have to explain yourself. Yes.
Better be a damn good
It better
reason
be
too.
good. That's right. That's right. Amanda James is going to read all of them, and
That's
she'll
right.
let you know what she thinks.
I will approve or dis
That's
a
right.
lesson without commentary.
Hmm. So, for these interviews as well, just so that you know, I did cut off the very first parts of it because they just repeat the case number and they get the person's name and date of birth and all of that. And I don't think that it's relevant, so I cut them off. So, we're just going to get started from when they actually start discussing what they want to talk about.
And you are the brother to George Torres Jr., correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It came to my, your parents had explained to me that you had a conversation with George a few days ago. Do you recall that specific date?
Yes. It was Sunday. Sunday.
On Sunday.
Sunday.
So Sunday, we're looking at the calendar together, the 23rd?
The 23rd.
Okay, so February 23rd, you guys had a conversation. Do you recall what time that conversation took place?
7:30. Oh, it finished at 7:30.
Do you remember what time it started? Do you by any chance still have it in your call log? And so it says you...
Okay, so they took about a minute and a half or so to look through his phone so that she could take a screenshot of his call log to show that the call was actually at 7:30. But I cut that out because it wasn't important.
Okay.
You received an incoming call at 7:30, and you guys spoke for 4 minutes.
Yes. We was talking. I was playing dominoes with my kids and my wife. And at first I wasn't gonna pick it up. Then I picked up
Okay.
because they were always fighting and stuff with
Okay.
alcohol. So he started talking to me. He was calm, so I was like, oh, okay. So I put it on speaker. So my kids are there, like they're joking around with him, and he was joking around with them. And we're talking, and then he's talking to me about when we was kids. And then, like a couple minutes after that, that's when I hear in the back start arguing with him. No, I have to call my brother. I have to talk to him. And he's like, no, I'm talking to my brother. It was her phone, so. And then she starts arguing and telling him that, no, tell him what you've been doing to me. You choked me, this and that. But he was calm. And he was like, okay, I gotta let you go. And then he said, I love you. And then I told him I love you. And basically, that was it.
I imagine that that is exactly how she managed him using her phone. He didn't have any other way to talk to his family or anyone else except to use her phone. And I could see her barging in, looking at the clock, stomping her feet, and saying that she needs to use it. And what's interesting is that when she was talking during her interrogation, and she said at some point that they talked to his kids, I believe his daughters, and never made mention of this phone call, never made mention of her needing to call her brother or talking to her brother. She never said anything about a phone call.
Yeah, I wonder if she did talk to her brother or if she was just being a bitch, saying, well, you need to get off the phone. It's my phone and I need to call
Yeah.
for him. I think you're right. Because we don't, like you said, we didn't hear anything about her calling her brother.
No. And in fact, when during the body cam footage from when she was still at her apartment, and they were asking her where she can stay, right? Because she was talking about how she was in so much danger, and she was saying, I don't have anybody.
Oh,
And
yeah.
she's talking about her parents are deceased, her other family. She does have a brother, but he's away doing marine things.
Right.
It doesn't sound to me like she has a very close family. She's saying that she doesn't have anybody. So what was the urgency of needing to call her brother? It's kind of like, if a kid is being sent to bed and they don't want to go, all of a sudden they have to go to the bathroom, all of a sudden they want a drink of water, all of a sudden they have to go do something that's unimportant that that isn't necessary, but they have to do it right then immediately. And it's like, well, he was talking to his brother, so she's going to say, I need to talk to my brother right now.
Yeah. It made me think of a kid too, but this might be an obscure example, but it made me think of like if you're a kid and at a sleepover with another kid and you want to use something of theirs that they weren't using and don't need to use and didn't want to use until you wanted to use it. And then they're like, well, no, I'm actually going to use that. And that's the feeling I get with the phone. He
Right.
called his brother and she's like, well, no, actually I have to call my brother. She doesn't know where he is. He's away doing marine things, which, like you said, tells us they don't have frequent communication. It's not like, oh, it's 7:30. It's time for me to call my brother. I call him every night or every week or regularly at all.
Right.
It's just, no, that's mine and I want to use it because you're using it. And I can tell you that because it belongs to me. You have to do what I say.
Yeah. And also, it sounded like they were having a nice conversation.
Right. But then she's going to commandeer that conversation. She's going to take over by saying, well, why don't you tell him what you've been doing to me? Why don't you tell him how you've been choking me? She just can't allow him to have a nice conversation with his brother. Like the brother said, they were joking and laughing and yeah, having a pleasant conversation. And she just had to butt in there and destroy it. What a miserable person.
Yeah.
And I would guess that she just had so much resentment towards George built up that she couldn't just sit by and watch him joke and have fun with his brother or be happy ever. She's got to ruin it.
Yeah.
So she yells in the background, tell him what you've been doing to me.
Yeah.
You've been choking me.
Yeah.
Did you ask him anything about that?
No, because the thing with them, they would fight and they would hit each other. Because there was times he came here and she had hit him with a phone and he had a black eye. So it was like...
Did you witness that?
I didn't get to see it, but
Okay.
he told me
you.
himself.
Okay.
So
you guys know that there's domestic between the two?
Between them. And I told him, get out of there, get out of there. I would tell him, leave. And what's crazy is that he would leave, come here, and she would call and tell him to come back, and she would come and get him. So if she had the car, he didn't have a car.
Right.
So
You said that he sounded calm.
he was calm, relaxed. Like he would, I can tell because my brother's been drinking for a long time. We tried to get him help before.
Right.
And I can tell when he was like really drunk, and he wasn't that drunk that night.
He wasn't.
So when you're describing him as calm, that's an indication that he hadn't been drinking that much.
That he wasn't that drunk. No.
Okay. So when he's been drinking, does he get really excited?
Sometimes he gets excited, and you can tell he like slurs his words, and he like, and I can tell like he gets really emotional, and sometimes starts crying and.
Okay. And none of that happened that
No,
night?
none of that.
Have you ever witnessed them physically fight?
I've seen them because I've been to their house, and she's come out all crazy. I went over with my wife, and they had called me to go over there. She had called me to go over there.
Sarah?
Sarah had.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I'll come over. That he wanted to see me, so I went over. And as soon as I get there, she comes out crazy because she saw some guy peeing around the corner, and she was trying to fight the guy and argue with the guy. And my brother was like, yo, calm down, just calm down. And it was like, I went to that. That's why I would try to avoid everything. Like, I would call, whenever he called me, I talked to him. I tried to talk to him. But it was always, like, they were always...
Did she physically touch George, or was she just getting really upset and
upset, like she came out upset. But there's a person, I can't remember, somebody seen him because he was on a bike one day, and he told me, I can't remember the person it was, because he was on a bicycle and she hit him with the car, and I can't remember who the person was, and he told me.
Have you ever seen any marks on George?
Yeah, around his neck, eye.
Like what kind of marks?
Like the time she hit him with the phone.
Okay.
He had a black eye, scratches all over his neck.
Would you see Sarah every time you saw George?
So I was just thinking about the comment that he made about somebody on a bike and she hit him with her car. Was he talking about she hit George with her car, or she hit somebody on a bike?
I thought he meant he hit George. She hit George with the car while he was on the bike, but somebody else told Juan that, and he couldn't remember who told. That's how I took it, at least.
Okay, no, that makes sense. That's what I was thinking that it was. But then I was thinking, did she hit somebody else? And George saw her do that. But it does make sense that somebody else witnessed her hitting him while he was on his bike.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, it sounds like she's just crazy.
Yeah, so I'm curious about the guy who was peeing around the corner. Somebody was peeing around the corner. She's trying to fight him.
Fight him? Yeah, you don't fight. Don't do that. Stay away from that. The man peeing around the corner. And you call the cops.
Right. Right. Or you at least wait until they're done. Right.
Yeah, or just go back inside.
Go back
Just chill.
I know.
Off and on. Like, if I would go over there, I would see her with him. And then sometimes if he ever came here, I would see him. Or sometimes when I would go over there, he would just come out and I wouldn't see her.
So you more saw your brother than Sarah?
I think it was equal.
Equal?
Because I've seen her. Sometimes she had marks and stuff. So
And what do you
it's
mean by marks?
Like bruises and stuff too. They used to beat each other.
And where were her bruises be?
I've seen on her arm, black eyes too.
Okay. Did George ever confide in you about their domestic problems? Like, did he ever tell you? Is there anything else that he's ever told you about him and Sarah? Any arguments? Any physical altercations?
No, he didn't really like to talk about it like that. Like, everybody knew it.
Right.
Like, they used to come here and fight and stuff.
Okay.
And my mom wouldn't like it and tell them to go.
Right.
And I know one day she came, it's been like maybe like 2 months. My dad, because she always tried to hug everybody. And everybody didn't want to be hugging like that.
Okay, so brace yourself for this story, okay?
Okay, I'm excited.
Oh, yeah?
And she pushed my dad, and my dad fell.
Yeah.
So
Would they always
So she wants to hug everybody, and I guess her father or his father didn't want that, and so she pushed him to the ground.
Yeah, that's reasonable. I love you so much. Give me a hug. Yeah, I don't really feel like hugs today. Fuck you then.
I know, she just pushes an old man to the ground. Oh my God.
would Sarah always be intoxicated when you saw her?
most of the time.
And what about George?
There was times he was not, he had drank, but he wasn't like drunk. Like he would try to like eat and try to have her eat because they was always drinking so much. So he was like, we need to eat something. But
did you, like a couple of years ago, did you and your brother have any kind of a falling out? Did you guys get into an argument, a fist fight, or anything?
no. See,
Has he gotten into a physical altercation with any of your brothers?
with Farrell, he did, the one that had the long hair.
The curly hair?
Yeah. With him, but it was just...
How severe of a fight was this, though?
Not brothers.
Did he
Anybody go to the hospital?
No, nothing like that.
Anybody have, like, bloodied lips, broken noses, anything like that?
Broken eye?
No. Oh, he had with my other brother too, with Mo. George had went to the hospital.
George went to the hospital.
Yeah, George.
And it was a few years ago, like 2 years ago, maybe 2.5.
That happened because she said they was drunk. They was at my Mo's house, at Moses' house. That's the other one.
Moses?
Moses. His name is Moses.
Is it last name Torres?
Torres.
Okay.
He they had got into it because Sarah had came and said that she had George had beat her, and then they got into it, but I wasn't there that day. Moses he can tell you about that.
So you remember what she originally said during the body cam footage about that incident, right?
Yeah, that him and his brother got in a really bad fist fight, right?
Right, and he had to have surgery, some kind of facial reconstruction.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where she was talking about how maybe he had a heart condition, but it was undetected.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's such an amazing girlfriend that she was getting him to go to the doctor and all of that, which he was trying to say, oh, he could have had a medical problem and that's why he died.
Right.
But yeah, so this is the story of what happened. So he's with his brother Moses, and they got into a fight because Sarah was telling him how George was beating her.
Oh, I see. I guess I didn't understand when he said that.
Yeah. So it's weird because, you know, obviously we've talked about this before. George was not a good boyfriend. He was a domestic abuser. So was she. They were in a very toxic, codependent, very dangerous relationship, clearly. But I wonder if this was a pattern for her, as far as her telling everybody randomly that George is hurting her. Like when he was talking to his brother on the phone and she just comes in, well, why don't you tell him that you've been choking me? You know, burst in like that. It sounds to me like that was the same type of a situation with this. She comes over and they're probably having a good time. And she starts talking about how George beats her. And so the brothers got into a fight. And I mean, that certainly is something that can happen. I know when somebody is talking to someone who's a domestic abuser, in particular, a man toward a woman, like a man will step up and say, why don't you hit me? You know, and then certainly a fight can happen. And that sounds like that's what happened here. Moses was not happy to hear that.
Right, but at least Juan seems to understand, though, that they are both guilty of abusing each other. Like they would fight, just
Yeah.
it wasn't one-sided abuse. It was them mutually fighting, physically fighting with each other.
Sure.
Yeah, and Juan doesn't deny George's responsibility in that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And also, that was a couple of years ago, too. So this wasn't, you know, in 2020 when they're talking to Juan, they had been dealing with Sarah for a while in their relationship. So at that point, they had known, but that fight with Moses was a couple of years prior.
Right.
To
So
that,
maybe,
too.
yeah, it wasn't clear yet. The mutual abuse they were inflicting on each other.
Yeah, and perhaps her, I don't know, her way of being confrontational like that, starting fights. Maybe that wasn't known either. Yeah.
Yeah.
George did go to the hospital.
George was in the hospital for that.
Do you remember what injuries he sustained?
Something in his eye sockets.
The nose, maybe?
I think his nose too, but it had something was wrong with his like
Orbital?
Yeah, the orbital.
Yeah.
What?
All right. Is there anything else that you think is important for us to know about your brother or Sarah and their relationship? I'm assuming the 4-minute conversation, he was just kind of like, you guys were just talking at first.
At first, just talking. I would notice that he was okay. It wasn't a fight.
You said he was joking with your kids, and then you hear Sarah in the background,
and then that's when Sarah came.
And then you let him go, or he let you go.
Said, because he was like, my niece and nephew are there. They can hear you, like. So I was like, he was like, all right, bye, and then.
Okay.
That was it.
How did she sound?
She sounded like crazy, like she always did.
Like a blue-eyed white devil would sound. Maybe.
Yeah, I like that. She sounded crazy like she always did.
Oh, they have been dealing with this for a long time. And I'm sure it was just so frustrating. You know, here he is trying to have a conversation with his brother. George sounds good. You know, he sounds like he's relaxed and he's in a good mood, and he's able to put him on speaker so he can talk to his nieces and nephews and his wife. And here comes Sarah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, tell them how you've been choking me.
Right.
Tell your sweet, you're gonna act like the fun uncle. You're gonna joke with your little nieces. He's been choking me, girls.
Yeah.
What do you think of him now?
Yeah. Obviously, she had a lot of anger, just like you said. A lot of anger toward him. Obviously, she's already drinking at that point. It's 7:30 at night. So she's well sauced. And yeah, I think she's ready for confrontation. She doesn't want him to have fun without her.
Right.
You know, they don't like her, right? And I'm sure they've made those feelings known. George knew that at that point that his family didn't like her.
I think that's another reason she suddenly had to call her brother too.
Sure, yeah.
You're not going to use my phone to talk to someone who doesn't even like me.
Yeah. Do you think she sat there with that face on, her pouty face, looking at George?
I hope so. But yes, probably.
But she's swaying though, right?
Yes, she's swaying
with her
and
bottle of
slurring.
wine. She's holding a bottle of wine. I imagine her a bottle drinker.
Oh yeah, why waste time pouring in a
Exactly.
glass?
That's what I always say.
Right. Yeah, she's got her cigarette in one hand,
Yes.
a bottle of wine in the other.
Yeah.
I need to call my brother now, George. Get off the fucking phone already.
I know.
Like, she was always like that, crazy. Like, she would just start yelling.
Was she yelling any kind of threats or anything?
No. She was just saying about calling her brother.
Okay, can you raise your right hand for me? Do you promise and swear everything we've talked about has been true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. This ends the recording 13:35 hours.
All right, so there is Juan's interview. What a tragic thing to have to go through, that is the last conversation that you have with your brother, knowing that he died a few hours later.
Yeah, and he said he wasn't going to answer the phone at first.
And
correct me if I'm wrong, did he say he wasn't going to answer the phone at first because him and Sarah were always fighting? So he thought, it would just be like drama that he didn't want to deal with, essentially.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he did. And I'm sure that's the case a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
Like, here we go. George is calling. Obviously, they're fighting. Here I'm just playing dominoes with my family. I just want to chill out.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a blessing though that he did answer.
And I'm sure he would feel bad about that for the rest of his life.
Absolutely.
Not that he should. Like, I'm sure he's very justified in not wanting to answer the phone. I'm sure every time, or the majority of the time George called, it was, he's drunk, they're drunk, they're fighting, he needs a place to go.
Yeah.
To escape from Sarah, then you're going to have to deal with Sarah all night, calling George, telling him to come back home. And it's just it's horrible to deal with that kind of shit. I wouldn't blame Juan for being like, I put my phone on silent.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I'm sure there were times when he did do that. Didn't want to talk to him that night when he would get a call. But yeah, there would have been, I'm sure, a ton of guilt, because I know if I had received a call like that and I ignored it, and then the person who was calling, I'm finding out the next day that they died, I would be thinking, what if I could have helped them?
Right.
What if they were calling me because they needed help? What if I would have heard them fighting and it was bad enough that I thought I should call the cops or something? I mean, there would be so many unknowns that would have happened. And it's really, a blessing. You know, it's a tragic thing that happened to George's family, but it's also a blessing that he was able to tell his brother that he loved him.
Yeah.
You know, oh gosh. So the next one that we're going to hear from is Brandon. So Brandon was also interviewed on the 27th. Excuse me. And Brandon is one of the neighbors. So he lives right on the other side of Sarah and George. Could you imagine?
I bet he's seen some shit and heard some shit. Well, we know he has heard
Oh, yeah.
some shit.
Oh, yeah. So let's hear about some of the shit that he's heard. Maybe.
Okay, and you said that you've been living here since January of 2019?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. On Sunday, which would have been,
The 24th?
let's just double check. Sunday was the 23rd.
23rd.
Were you home that day?
I would have come home a little late that evening, but I would have been here around 8, 9 o'clock. I would have gotten in around 8 or 9 o'clock.
PM.
Yes.
Okay. And so your apartment is right next to apartment number 3. Does your apartment share walls with theirs?
My bedroom shares a wall with the lower half of their apartment.
The lower half, okay. Do you recall hearing anything coming from apartment 3 while you were, after you had gotten home?
Around 10:30 or 11 o'clock, there was a very loud crashing sound where I believe, I'm not sure, I haven't been in their apartment like my roommate, but I believe is the location of the staircase.
Okay,
So a little bit above.
a very loud, you said crashing sound?
Yeah, like it sounded like something had been like falling down the stairs. Because it started up high and then it ended low.
Okay. And when you heard the loud crashing sound, did you hear any voices? Like, could you make out if you heard a male or female's voice?
I couldn't hear anything, no.
Okay. Is that normal for you to hear noises coming from their apartment?
Not loud, but
Not that loud?
Not that loud.
Okay.
But I'll regularly hear like thudding sounds, like stuff being like slammed against the wall or something like that.
Okay. Have you ever heard voices? Have you ever been able to determine?
I've always kind of like tuned out if I was hearing voices.
If you heard something,
yeah.
you okay. But you have heard loud noises in the past, but not as loud as you had heard on Sunday night.
No, it never been that. Like I felt the walls shake.
Okay.
As the sound happened.
And do you know either of them? Like, do you know?
I've had a few brief interactions with them.
Okay.
But I don't.
Like, do you know who lives there? Like,
yes.
Can you describe who lives there for me?
It is a sort of, I guess, like middle age. I don't know, like around 40s, blonde woman.
Okay.
And a Hispanic gentleman, I believe so. I haven't interacted with him much. I've spoken to her a few times.
You've spoken to her a few times. Okay. Anyone else live there?
I believe they have a little boy.
A small child. Okay. Okay. When you have seen them around, how do they appear to you?
They almost always seem either like tired or like tweaked out.
Tweaked out?
Yeah.
Okay. The conversations you had, the interactions you've had with the female, like, what do you mean interactions?
I remember one night she slept on the back porch of my apartment for some reason.
Okay.
I don't remember much, but I just remember, like, looking out the shade and seeing her, like, laid down.
Okay. Do you recall, like, maybe what month this was?
I I couldn't say. It was pretty early when I moved in. I would say the summer of 2019.
Summer of 2019. Okay. Did you wake her or?
No, I just.
Okay. And by sleeping, you guys all have like a cement area, right?
Yes.
Like a back patio,
Yes.
but it's not enclosed.
No.
Was she in a chair on the ground?
Like
or?
on the ground.
On the ground. Okay.
That would be so startling to look outside and see somebody sleeping on your patio.
Yeah, I'm sure he was like, hell no, I'm not gonna go wake her. It's best to just not. You just stay, just like with Sarah going to fight the guy who's peeing around the corner. Just just go and lock your doors, mind your own business, and pray they leave soon. That's how
Yeah,
you deal with people like that.
I don't know if I would. I think that if I saw my neighbor sleeping on my back patio, I would go and see them.
Well, what kind of neighbors do you have though? Would that be highly unusual for your neighbors and they might be hurt or in trouble? Or,
True.
well, if you live in a place where that kind of stuff, like I'm sure Sarah and George had a reputation around
Oh,
their apartment complex.
yes, we will hear all about that.
So yes, if I saw my neighbor, the dentist, sleeping on my back porch, I'd be like, holy shit, oh my God, something must be wrong.
True.
But if I saw, I don't know, the drunk lady down the street who has the cops at her house every other weekend,
Yeah.
then yeah, I'm locking my doors. I'm not gonna go wake that crazy bitch up. If anything, you call the cops and say there's a person sleeping on my porch.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
I don't have any chairs on our back porch.
Okay. Any other run-ins with her? Things you've witnessed with her?
I was coming home from class one night. I would not be able to give you a time period on this.
Sure,
I don't
yeah.
remember when it is. And I was waiting on my roommate to get home because I had left my keys in the apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember she came over and was talking to me for a minute, and it was very visible that like she was talking to me because she didn't want to be in her apartment.
Okay.
I don't know why, like I didn't ask, but it was just very evident that she didn't want to be there.
Do you remember anything she was saying?
No.
Her demeanor?
It was, she seemed like skittish, like nervous.
Okay.
I don't remember anything we talked about because, in complete honesty, when I was just, it was in one ear and out the other.
Right, yeah, you were just kind of, right.
With vague nothing.
Okay. Did she appear to be on anything at that point, or just she seemed nervous?
She seemed nervous.
Okay.
She didn't seem like high or anything. She just seemed out of it.
Okay.
I would chalk it up to be more like tired and paranoid or nervous, stuff like that.
Okay. And any other interactions with her?
No. Honestly, from the few times I had spoken to her, like anytime I saw her, I kind of just tried to go straight into my apartment.
Right.
There's a few times where I would walk past and she'd say hi or something, and I was just kind of lie and be like, oh, I'm only going to be here for like 10 minutes. I just got to change and head back to class or something. Like I tried to avoid.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That must have been so awkward.
Yeah, see, you avoid those kinds.
Yeah. Okay, you're right. If they're passed out on the sidewalk, you step over, or you go the other way.
Yeah, I've learned from experience. It's best to just not get involved.
Yeah. Don't make eye contact.
Exactly. Or tell
Right.
them, I gotta go. I gotta go back to class now. Bye.
Yeah. Even though you were just so excited to get back home, you're like, oh, I can finally relax. I'm going to go inside. And then you're like, oh, now I have to go make myself go back out somewhere, anywhere except for here.
Just so I don't have to talk to this crazy woman. Didn't she mention before something about like asking a neighbor to use their bathroom or something?
Yes, on
Yeah.
the day of the investigation, like when it started on the
Hmm.
24th, I think that she was going around because she couldn't go into her apartment.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's when she started to rat everybody out on all their
Yeah, they wouldn't
business.
let her use the bathroom, and she's like, "Well, I don't want to get anybody in trouble or anything, but they're here illegally."
Yeah, exactly.
Um, did you ever witness either of them on their back porch patio?
No, I don't walk that direction.
Okay.
I don't have any reason to go like that. But
Right. You guys don't have any like dogs or anything that you have
I
to
don't have
walk?
any pets.
There you go. Okay. Any interactions with the Hispanic male?
Uh, no, not that I can recall.
No. Okay. Um, okay. Is there anything else that you think is important for me to know about
Nothing.
them and anything you've heard or witnessed between the two of them?
It seems like an abusive relationship. Just from every time I heard them, every time like I saw the two of them, it seemed rough.
Okay. Okay.
It's one of those things where like he was a bad guy. He was a bad guy.
Mhm. Okay.
I'm so curious what would make him say that because he doesn't elaborate.
Yeah, did I hear him right? He said he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's a
Some
bad
people,
guy, like, really serious.
yeah. Some people, I guess, are of the opinion that a man shouldn't hit a woman even if it's a mutually abusive relationship. Like, even if she hits him, he still shouldn't hit her.
Hmm.
And if he does, then I don't know, maybe that could be what. Yeah, I wish she asked him why was he a bad guy? What makes
Yeah.
you say that?
Yeah. I wonder if it's because he's only interacted with her and she seemed nervous
Mm,
or skittish, as he put it,
right.
and, wanting to avoid going into the apartment. Obviously, who's in the apartment? George is. So if
Mm-hmm.
she's not wanting to go in there and she seems nervous, well, she's obviously nervous about being around him,
Right.
right? And also, he saw her sleeping outside on the back porch. That's not a normal thing to do. It's not like,
Mm-hmm.
she got tired and just laid down and went to sleep. She was out there for a reason,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I wouldn't automatically think though, like, oh, this woman is sleeping outside in my yard. She must be afraid to go home to her boyfriend. I don't know. Maybe I just come from a different kind of place, but I would think, oh, that crazy bitch is drunk and sleeping outside again. She forgot how to get home or something.
Yeah, I mean, and that could have happened too.
Hmm.
That definitely could have been the case. But yeah, I mean, I guess his overall impression was that it was an abusive relationship on the part of
Hmm.
George only as well. And, so he just probably never witnessed or never heard her side
Hmm.
when they were doing things. He seems to be very much the type of person who just doesn't want to get involved with anything,
Yeah.
you know.
Hmm.
All right. Is there anything else that you think is important for me to know?
Nothing I can think of. No.
Okay. Do you mind raising your right hand for me? Do you promise and swear everything we've talked about has been true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
Everything I've said is true as far as I can recall.
Yep, perfect. All right, this ends the recording at 17:57 hours.
All right, so there was Brandon. And
Hmm.
again, he seems to just kind of not really be involved. He doesn't want to hear anything. He doesn't want to see anything. He doesn't want to talk about it. He doesn't want to talk to you.
Hmm.
He just wants to mind his own business. And yeah. Yeah, so there was Brandon.
Well, the interesting part of that, or well, it's all interesting, but the important part of that was the crash he heard
Yes.
that
Yep.
shook the walls.
Yes.
I think that will be very important.
It's very important, and it's important to note the time as well. So he was
Right.
saying it was around, 10:30 when that happened.
What time were the videos taken?
The first one was at 11 or 11:12. One of those.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then there was like 11 minutes between,
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then there was another one with him in a different position. The suitcase
Mhm.
was in a different position. It had been moved. So she obviously was doing that.
Right.
Yeah. So that's Brandon, and then the next one we're going to hear Vincent, who is his roommate. So he lives in the same apartment, right next door to Sarah and George. And actually, while I was hearing Brandon's interview, I could hear him in the background talking to Detective Lowen. I could hear. So it's this interview that we're about to hear that's happening at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So here is that one.
With the residents of apartment. Obviously, we're out here today talking about an incident that occurred with the residents of apartment 3, which are your direct next door neighbors, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to kind of preface and start out with a couple of different basic questions. How long have you been living in apartment?
The end of January was a year, so about a year and a month.
Year and a month?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And your apartment, from what I can see, is a single-story apartment. It's not a townhome like your neighbors, correct?
Yes, no, it's a single story, yeah.
Okay. Is your bedroom the one in the back, next to the back wall?
Yeah, it's the one where you can see the kick out from the back patio of their
Okay.
apartment there, yeah.
That's what I was wondering. So your bedroom is right next to their back patio?
Yes.
So you get to hear everything that's going on in the back patio, or is it
On the
pretty
back
airtight?
patio and the living room, because their living room at the bottom of their stairs
Yeah.
is right next to where my head lays on my bed.
Okay.
So
Again, that must just be so awful.
Well, the property manager did say she got lots of complaints.
Yes.
I wonder how many came from these poor guys.
From them, I know. They had to complain at least once. At least
Mhm.
once. But it doesn't sound
Yeah.
like they were very popular in the community. So,
Right.
yeah, so it's not surprising at all that they'd be having some complaints against them.
Mhm.
literally, and it was like an every night thing, with the beat, and it wasn't even just him on her. It was like they were going at it, at each other, and it was
really?
it was just really bad and really loud, every night.
Was it, you mean verbally?
No, physically, yeah. It was
So what were you hearing?
it was I don't it was never I couldn't physically hear hitting, you know what I mean?
Okay.
But I heard thrown up against the wall, or
Okay.
I've heard thrown down the stairs a few times. It's just
Oh, wow.
and it's that's a very clear sound, you know what I mean? You hear somebody up here get down here very fast, and it's you just kind of know what happened.
Okay.
And it's and the reason that I've never said anything about it, or I was just kind of minding my own business, is because I literally found out that this happened so often, and they were known by the local police here or whatever, that all the neighbors just stopped calling because the police were tired of it, pretty much. Not tired of it, but
No, I
it was
know what you mean, though.
it was just
Yeah.
it was an every week thing, once or twice a week. So it was I don't know. And then there was the one night I was standing on my back patio, I was smoking a cigarette, and then she just randomly walked over and started talking to me about how she knows I can hear stuff, and then she was just if you ever hear anything get really loud or whatever, just keep quiet about it, pretty much she was respectfully try to mind your own, keep it to yourself, I was okay, I was whatever,
That's a weird thing to do.
Well, does someone who's scared of their abusive partner say that? Or does an abuser say that?
An
you know?
abuser most certainly would. Yeah. Don't say anything. It's none of your business.
Yeah, if I were scared of my boyfriend, I think I'd say quite the opposite. You know, if you hear things going crazy, please call for help.
Yeah.
It's like, no, no, just mind your own business.
Yeah. And it's so random, too. What would prompt her to do that?
I don't know.
You know? It's like,
Like, don't rat us out.
okay. Yeah,
I
pretty
don't-
much.
Like, let us fight.
Yeah.
You do you, I'll do me.
Pretty much. That, you know,
Yeah,
I go to
gotcha.
school down here. You know, I'm
Yeah.
from New Jersey. I don't live in Florida. You know, I'm just here to do my school and
Yep.
live my life, you know? And
Yeah.
it's like, so for her to tell me, like, don't really pay attention, I was just like, all right, you know.
How long ago was that, do you think?
A few months, probably like 3.5, 4 months ago, probably. You know, she was just like telling me, like, just keep quiet, like, if you hear it, pretty much. And I was just like, whatever.
Okay. Did you ever hang out with them on the back porch prior
Yeah,
to that?
yeah.
You hung out with them?
Yeah, I have, and it was like, not for like long periods of time, but like, you know, I'm a musician, so like
Okay.
they heard me playing guitar the one day, so they asked me to come over and tune their son's guitar. So I tuned their son's guitar for them and everything, and I was playing on the back porch because, you know, I write songs, so they were like asking me if they can hear it and everything. And I was like, yeah, sure. I
Yeah.
had nothing going on, so I went back there and I was hanging out with them and I was playing some guitar, and I did it a few times, and then I was actually in their apartment a few times. Like, he was an artist,
Okay.
and he was showing me like a bunch of his paintings and like artist drawings and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I mean, like, they were cool people,
Yeah.
but like there was something going on, especially with Sarah. You know what I mean? Like, there was something going on with her. Like, you couldn't tell. You know, it was like
Yeah.
she wasn't like all there. You know.
Okay. Now, as far as like their drinking habits, did you notice? Were they heavy drinkers?
Oh
Did they
my
drink at all? Or?
God, whoa, like, that's like, I mean, like, it was so bad. It wasn't all the time, but it was like there was some mornings where I'd be leaving for school at 9 a.m. and I'd like see him like stumbling off the sidewalk right here, you know,
Okay.
like that drunk at 9 o'clock in the morning, or
Okay.
like even earlier sometimes. It's like, it's ridiculous sometimes. But I do have to say, whenever her son was around, that was the only, like, the times where I never saw them ever drinking. That was the only time, you know what I mean? But like, other than that, it was like they were drunk all the time.
Drunk
all the time.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And it was very visible, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were like functioning alcoholics, you know what I mean? It was like they had to drink to get through the day,
Okay.
type thing. You
Yeah.
know?
Do you know their drink of choice?
No, I'm not sure.
When you were hanging out with them, you never.
No,
noticed?
because like when I was hanging out on the back porch, they weren't drinking. We were just honestly
Okay.
sitting there, and we were smoking cigarettes, and I was just
Yeah.
like playing some guitar. But yeah, they weren't actually drinking that day.
Okay.
And even when I was in the house, I didn't see anything
Yeah.
that was like a bottle or anything that they would drink. Yeah,
How old are you?
20.
20.
Yes.
I'm gonna make an assumption here.
Okay.
And I don't mean no disrespect by it,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
assuming as a 20-year-old,
Yes.
you have smelled what marijuana smells like when it's burning.
Of course.
Now, have you ever noticed that coming from their place?
No,
They're not smokers or drinkers.
Definitely not. They're.
Okay.
I don't believe they're like towards like any type of drug. You know what I mean? Like,
Good. How are you?
I don't think they like were on any type of drug.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It was just like very visible, like
They were
alcohol.
drinkers.
You know, because like
Absolutely.
I've had like uncles and stuff that have dealt with it, so like I just
Yeah.
know what it looks like to be a
Yeah.
heavy alcoholic. You know, and it's just like that's what it looked like, that they
Okay.
just had a lot of drinking problems. You know.
I got you. Yeah. Sorry, I'm about to sneeze.
Oh, you're fine. God bless you.
Thank you.
I wonder if Officer got him sick.
Yeah, probably. She should be wearing a mask. She should be in the hospital.
She should be in the hospital because she's coughing.
Yeah, she should be. She's obviously very ill.
Reminds me
Quarantine.
never to cough around you.
Well, cough once or twice, it's okay, but cough 400 times, you're going to the hospital.
I see. Okay.
No problem.
Were you home on Sunday by chance?
Yes. Yeah.
Did
I
you
was
hear
home.
anything?
Yeah, actually, I did. Yeah, that night. So I was reading the article online about
Yeah.
what happened and everything, and like, it's just like that story is just like it doesn't match like what we heard, you know what I mean? Like when me and my roommate heard, it's just like it wasn't that quiet. Like the whole like it was a joke or whatever, or like whatever, you know. But it was too loud.
Okay.
Like I literally like it. I don't know about the whole like what the suitcase deal was and everything, but it was just I heard
let's do this. Let's back you up.
Yeah.
And I want to kind of get this to flow through.
Okay.
What time did you get up Sunday?
In the morning?
Yeah.
Sunday, I was up at 4:30. I was going to work. Yeah.
Holy cow! What time did you get home?
I got home at 1 o'clock.
So you were at home at 1.
Yeah.
Did you take a nap or anything, or you just power your way through?
No. Because I get home and then I have class the next morning on Monday. So like I just stay up so I don't have trouble sleeping at night.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So I just power through the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you get home at 1.
Uh-huh.
Was there already noise going on? It was quiet?
Yeah. It was. I didn't truthfully I didn't hear anything until like and before like the whole loud noise and everything. I just heard like the normal yelling at the verbal yelling and like the whole like arguing. I hate you, blah blah blah, whatever.
That was gonna be my next question. What kind of stuff were you hearing?
Yeah, it was just like the normal like it sounds like a normal
couple. So it wasn't
couple,
like a really elevated screaming. It was just
no, it was elevated screaming, but it was like normal like
their normal.
Yeah,
elevated
it was like
screaming.
pretty much.
I got you. Okay. So that's the normal back and forth. So that was basically going on starting when you got home.
I would say probably a little later in the afternoon. A little later in the afternoon there. Probably around like 7 o'clock. It's like, because I feel like that's when like the drinks are settling in and they get a little more violent toward each other, you know? And it's like...
Were they outside or was this all inside, you remember?
It's set, truthfully, when I'm home and stuff, like I'm a music producer, so I'm on my laptop a lot in my room, you know? So like... From what I heard in my room, it sounded like they were directly across from me, or like directly across and up. So like either in the rooms there, or like downstairs in the living room in that area right there. So
did you go out on the back to smoke it all that night?
No, actually, I quit smoking. I smoke a vape now, so I stay in my apartment now. It's just a little vape now.
Good for you.
Yeah,
well, that's a big thing. I mean,
well, yeah, and after the law changed and everything, I can't buy them anymore, so I kind of got forced into it, you know. So it was like. This is just like I needed it to like kind of ease the cigarettes off, but we're working at just trying to go completely off it, you know.
Wow. Okay, so but you're in your room. How late did you stay up that night, you think?
I was up pretty late. I stay up pretty late every night. You know, I just get so lost in my music. I was up probably till like 1 a.m. that night, probably right around there. Yeah, and then like I said, we were just talking about it before, me and my roommate actually. That night, right around, it was probably right around 10:30, 11 o'clock maybe, is when I heard like it get escalated, you know, like like the voices got louder, they were yelling, whatever, and then like it got quiet for a little while, and then I heard this really loud like slamming noise. Excuse me.
Do you know about what time that was?
Right around 11:15. It was about 15 minute span there, you know, and then...
When you say a slamming noise, does it sound like something hit the wall?
Like something like was bouncing down the stairs between the railing and the wall and the stairs. Like, all the way down. Like, you know, and it was clear because, like, my roommate even said it too, like, he heard it up here and it kind of went away from him, and he's the front room here.
Yeah.
And I'm in the back, so it was kind of like it was in the middle of the house.
Coming at
and
you.
came right at me, and it was literally right next to me, and I've never felt this before, but that night I was explaining to him the next day because he had said he heard the noise, and I was like, dude, I felt the wall shake. Like, it was literally like such a powerful hit against the wall, like the wall shook, and I felt it, and that was like something that where I was like, I kind of looked at the wall and I was just like, that was a little much. A little much, but like I thought, and this whole time I really thought it was like him, you know what I mean, like going off or whatever, but like I said, I don't know what happened inside, but that's just like what I heard, and it sounded like it was just bouncing, you know what I mean, like down the stairs between like the wall and like.
And that was like a 11:15, you said?
Yeah, it was like, cause we heard like yelling and stuff around like 10:30, 10:45ish, and then it got quiet for like 20-30 minutes maybe, and then maybe like between 15 and 30 minutes around there,
No worries.
and it was like then that loud noise, and then I heard like shuffling around, and then just we both heard it at the same time. It just got silent, and I was just like, okay, I guess it's over. I guess that was like the last, like, then they're done. Like, I guess they walked away from each other.
You didn't hear anything after that?
After that, not loud enough to where I could hear it through the wall. You know what I mean? I don't know if anything
Did you hear
happened
muffled
after.
anything, or
No,
just nothing? It went dead quiet.
Dead quiet after that. Because, like, the walls aren't thin, but they're not thick.
Yeah, no, I got it.
I mean,
So they could have been over there talking normally, and you would never know.
Yeah, because like if they're having normal conversation and stuff, no. But like when they're fighting and they're arguing, you can clear. It's like being on the other side of a bedroom wall, because it's apartments and they're so close.
But at 11:15, that's the last thing you heard. And what you heard was a thump.
Yeah,
on the stairway.
it was right about that time, like right around 11:15. Yeah, 11:15ish. Yeah.
And you were up till about 1, and you heard nothing else.
Nothing. I heard, like I said, like a little shuffling around down there, and then that was it.
Did you hear anything? Like, could you make out what they're? Hey, have him grab his buddy's stuff, his food, please. I feel bad. Your stuff is on the ground, and they're going inside.
Thank you very much.
When they were yelling earlier, could you make out anything, or is it just kind of?
It's kind of just
You hear wah,
like I
wah,
was
wah.
saying. It's like you can like hear the whole like I hate you, like, and then like you clearly. Thank you, bro. You can clearly hear like some like the I hate yous and the clear like cursing at each other and stuff, and
I'm going to bring my partner over here.
Okay.
I'm going to introduce her onto the recording. This is
So that's very, very different from what Sarah said, and we knew that too.
Yes, of course. I think the wildest part of that story is he said, when he describing the banging and the loud sound that shook the walls, that it clearly sounded like something going down the stairs.
Yes.
That, I mean, which I can understand. That's a very distinctive, like, series of sounds. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's super damning too.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, from the time that they both are saying, it's around the same time. Obviously there's going to be some discrepancy there, but it's around at the same time that they're hearing this really loud bang that they have never heard before, to where it shook the wall. It was so loud. And it was going from higher to lower.
Right.
So obviously it was going down the stairs, like hitting as it's going down. And then not hearing anything after that.
Right.
Except for some shuffling. Yeah, I wonder what the shuffling was. How can you hear shuffling?
Could have been her dragging the suitcase around, maybe.
Definitely.
That might make a shuffle sound. But yeah, the fact that they couldn't hear any shouting, any more fighting after that, it implies it's not like George somehow got out of the suitcase and was put back in the suitcase or something. Like, it works with the timeline. She put him in there, pushed him down the stairs, and then left him in there. They stopped fighting after that because he was trapped in a suitcase.
Right. Okay. Let's finish what he has to say. And then I have a couple of questions too.
Okay.
Chelsea Kepsel. She's actually the lead investigator on this case. I'm going to kind of surmise what you told me for her, and if at any point I'm misquoting you, please stop me, okay?
Of course, yeah, sure.
He got up Sunday morning, went to work about 4:30, got home about 1. Things were quiet till probably about 7. He said that then he hears the arguing. He said it's the normal. He's in his bedroom. He can hear the I hate you, going back and forth, at a pretty much high volume, which is their normal arguing voice. This continues on pretty much throughout the night, but at right about 10:30, you hear a lot of arguing, right? It gets a little bit escalated at that point.
Yeah, it got louder.
And then right around 11:15, they hear this, he hears this banging coming down the stairs. He said hears bang, bang, bang. You can tell it's coming down the stairs because it starts and then it stops right next to him. And when it stopped, he said something just slammed the wall. He said it shook the wall. He said that was the first time he's ever felt like the whole wall shake like that. He said after that it was quiet. He was up till about 1 o'clock. But prior to that, I was just trying to. Did you hear any threatening anything prior to that? Was
No.
anybody screaming, "I'm going to kill you"? Or
No, I never heard anything like that. Not that night.
have you heard that in the past?
No, I've
Okay.
never, not that I can recall, truthfully, like, I can't remember ever hearing, like, I'm gonna kill you, or, like, any type of, like, threat towards each other like
Yeah.
that, but, like, I've also, like, it's very visible with them
Yeah.
sometimes.
Right.
It used to be, you know, like, it'd be very loud arguing, you know, and then the next morning you see her outside and bruises on her face, or him out here with, like, scratch marks everywhere, bruises everywhere, you know, it's like, it's just very visible what was going on and everything.
Right.
And it was just like I was saying before, I just kind of, there was a time where she literally came up to me and she was like, no matter like what you hear, pretty much, like, just kind of keep quiet about it, you know, respectfully, like, mind your own business. And I was just like, okay, you know what I mean, like,
Okay.
you know,
You remember when that was?
I would, about 3.5, 4 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah. Not too long ago, but not like very, very recent.
Right,
you know? Yeah.
right. Okay.
He said the arguing was nightly. He said
Yeah.
the reason the front office hasn't heard anything more is because everybody just kind of gave up calling.
Yeah, it was like
Would you complain in the past or no?
No, I never did. It was
Yeah.
because, like, they've been here for so long, and all the other neighbors around here have been here for so long and stuff. And, like, I was talking to some other people that I met through the school that live in the apartment complex and everything, and they were saying, like, you know, people just don't really like them all
Right.
that much. You know, they were, like, very. I guess it was just the way they came across, you know, with everybody. You know, it was just like the way they presented themselves. You know, they were
Right.
always drunk, like I was saying before, like always, like sun up to sun down type,
Yeah.
like all the time. And it was
Okay.
like, I guess people just didn't really want to
Interact.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's like, you know, I'm sure you guys have interacted with people who are very over the limit, like drunk and stuff, and it gets very annoying after a while, you know. So it's like conversations can't last more than like 2 minutes tops, and it's just like everybody wants to go, you know. But they're always consistent about like being there, and that's why nobody really liked them all that much, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there anything that I haven't asked you about that you think would be good for us to know about this or them?
I don't think so. I think I've pretty much like covered everything like that I thought was, you know, necessary from that night or whatever. Like what
Yeah.
I've heard, you know, in the past and everything. That was just like, it was just, you could tell it was just a very violent relationship that was never gonna do any good, if that makes
Yeah.
any sense. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Yeah.
it was just a very toxic relationship that had a lot of problems.
Could you do me a favor, raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm everything we've talked about is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
All right, you can put your arm down. The time is approximately 16:08 hours. I'm stopping the recording.
All right. So Vincent's a chatty one. So
Yeah, he had a lot more to say than his roommate.
he did, yeah. And if you remember in her interrogation when she's talking about the neighbors, at one point she said, "Ask Vinny. Just ask Vinny."
Oh, okay, yeah. She
Yeah.
thinks she's got Vinny on her side.
She does, definitely. Yeah. So, but I think that she would be giving Vinny the look that she's giving all of us right now.
Mm-hmm.
When she's hearing him make those very disparaging statements about them. She wouldn't be very happy.
Yeah, excuse me, Vinny, you can't talk about things you don't know, okay?
Yeah. Yeah. So now hearing their interviews and hearing about the noise, hearing about the fighting that was happening, it sounds like with Juan's interview, it started around 7:30 is when they possibly started fighting.
Mhm.
And then after that, you know, around 11-ish, they hear that really, really loud bang. And prior to then, they're hearing them yell at each other, just like normal, right? Just, oh, it's just an average night. George and Sarah are screaming at each other and saying how they hate each other. And they're having their normal evening conversation.
Yes.
So I'm so curious now. How did he get in the suitcase?
Oh, good question. Yeah,
Right?
if they're fighting and screaming at each other, how do you go from fighting and screaming and I hate you and fuck you and all that to, it'd be fun. If you got in this suitcase, that would be really funny, don't you think?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I'm completely baffled by that now. Because I was thinking there's no way that he didn't get in there without getting in there himself. Right? I mean, how could she force him in a suitcase? It couldn't happen. The only way that she could is if he was incapacitated somehow.
Yeah, but even then, stuffing him in a suitcase is really hard. Imagine being drunk and trying to stuff a limp body in a suitcase.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, so he would have to be completely knocked out, right? And in that way, he's not going to be able to help. If you've ever tried to lift somebody who's just on the ground like, a dead weight, it's really, really hard to do. Even somebody that maybe normally you would be able to lift, but the fact that they're completely limp and having to lift them up without them helping you at all would be really difficult. Even if it's just to move him, to put him into the suitcase. She doesn't have to like pick him up fully, but how would she get him in a suitcase, be able to cram him in there? He would have to be completely out cold.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I agree. How much time would it take though to stuff him in there? You're right, because she could like drag him sort of over there. I think that would be really difficult. And to like fold all his limbs up to
Right.
stuff him in there. I mean, because you'd have to kind of like fold his body in half almost. I'm picturing him sort of like in the fetal position,
Yes.
like with his knees up by his chest.
Right.
And his arms like wrapped around his legs. I still think it makes way more sense that he got in the suitcase by himself. But I don't know how or what.
Yeah, exactly.
I really don't know.
I know that in relationships like this, it's always possible that they have mood swings, right? Where things can get really bad quickly and it can also de-escalate quickly, almost in a way that can't be explained. It's kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because I'm trying to make sense, and that's the only thing that would make sense is if they were having a fight and then somehow they weren't anymore and they decided to play hide and seek and he got in there.
That is very strange. Because I know you're right. It can happen like that where it goes from 0 to 100, then back down to 0. But I think more often it probably just kind of keeps escalating and escalating until the cops are called.
Right, exactly, because that's the way that they're making it sound, is that they're hearing them fight. So it's not even as if they're fighting at the beginning of the evening and then they calm down. And then the rest of the night, they're just kind of hanging out. But yeah, I mean, the way that he's saying it's like, no, they were definitely doing their usual. And then they had that really loud bang. So I don't know. I'm really confused.
Me too, because now I always just kind of assumed that he got in the suitcase at the top upstairs for
Yes.
some insane reason, and then she like pushed or kicked him down the stairs.
Yeah.
But what if she pushed him down the stairs outside of the suitcase and then somehow got him into the suitcase once he was down the stairs? I mean, that's possible. It's probably way more likely that he was in the suitcase, though, from the way that they described the like crash and the bangs.
Yes. Like it's a solid one
Yeah,
solid
boom, boom.
thing. Yeah, that's going down. Because
Yeah,
they also said that it sounded they've heard somebody get pushed down the stairs before. And it wasn't anything like that. Like this was different. Shaking the walls.
being in the suitcase would make it different. Yeah. Well, yeah, because if you just fall down the stairs or you're pushed down the stairs, you can sort of reach out and sort of stop the momentum a bit with your arms and legs and stuff. Like, but if you're in the suitcase, you can't do that, of course. So I
No.
would think there'd be a lot more force behind it.
Right. It's just going to be one solid mass that's hitting each time. Yeah.
Right, and there's nothing to sort of slow it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Where like you would if were just standing normally and could reach out and sort of grab something a little bit to stop
Right. Yeah.
the force of that.
And even at that point too, it would probably sound more like a tumbling. That somebody's, kind of hitting different areas. You hit your hand on the wall, then you hit, your foot kicks the rail. That type of a thing, but not just one thing that's just going down as if, there was a body in a suitcase.
Yeah, I mean, that is the question. How did he get in the suitcase?
I know. Well, you guys have to explain it for us. What do you guys think? After hearing these interviews, how does it change for you? That's what I want to know. Who can explain this? Especially hearing about them fighting so soon before him being in the suitcase and then hearing that noise. I just don't understand.
Maybe your first hypothesis was right, and they just would regularly go from fighting to, oh, we're not fighting anymore, now let's play hide and seek. We're fighting, I fucking hate you, I'm gonna punch you in the face, to let's do a puzzle. Maybe that was just a regular. I feel like that's just not how people's emotions work, though.
No, you're right. I don't know. Does anybody know anybody who's that erratic, where they're just, like 0 to 100 and then back down to 0 again?
And then back up to 100.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. If they did stop fighting out of the blue, just like, snap of the fingers, oh, we're fine now, let's play hide and seek, then he gets in the suitcase, and then Sarah goes to 100 again and says, haha, I'm going to kick you down the stairs. That's a big shift.
It is. It is. What if they're fighting and then Sarah's like, okay. We need to calm down. We're going to play hide and seek. Right?
And George is like, yeah.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, let's do that.
That'll calm the situation. I know. I'll get right in the suitcase here.
I know. I know.
Hilarious.
Yeah. And she goes, well, if we're going to believe her story, she went in the shower and just stood there for a long time. I'm so confused.
Me too. I am very confused now. It all made sense until you just brought up that great point.
Yeah,
Maybe they were like, okay, we fight all the time. Let's try something different. Let's play hide and seek. Tag, you're it.
Right, yeah, tag you're it.
They did do that all the time, she said.
Mm-hmm. Or he did, anyway.
Yeah, they played hide and seek all the time. They would just tag you're it kind of thing.
I don't even know.
I don't know either.
It made so much more sense before hearing all of this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't understand now. I mean, yes, of course, it sounded ridiculous that they're going to be playing hide and seek. Because it's like, who's going to do that? Number one, you guys are in an apartment. And you're full-grown adults. Where are you going to go? You know, that might be cute. Like if you're playing with a little kid and they're like, you know, it's going to be fun for them, right? Because they're going to hide in someplace obvious and you pretend like you haven't found them. But as grown adults, you're going to play that. But at the same time, it's like, well, I don't know. People are weird.
People are weird. I don't think they were playing hide and seek, though.
Okay.
Because you're right. Who does that? Where's the fun in that?
Yeah.
Okay, found you. Oh, you found me.
Yeah, right. You're in this small townhouse.
Right. It's not like there are that many places to hide.
No.
Yeah, no, that's bullshit. She had to come up with a reason the next morning why George was in a suitcase. And she's like, I'll just say we're playing hide and seek.
Yeah.
That's the best she could come up with.
Yeah.
There's something else.
Okay.
Maybe she did stuff him in there somehow. I don't know how, though.
Okay. So, well, I have a thought.
Okay.
But we're going to listen to the next interview because there's a point that comes up that has to do with the thought that I'm having.
Okay.
So this next one, we're going to hear from Brian. And this is the interview that they had with him on the 24th. So we had already seen the initial contact with him when the police officer arrived and they had a small interview. So this is going to be the interview that the detectives have with him later on that day.
So, Brian, to my understanding, you were called over here. So can you just take me back to this morning and your involvement with Sarah, which is your ex-wife?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes. We've been divorced about a year and a half.
Okay.
Well, I started calling her probably 10:30 or so. It's her day to pick up the kid, but it doesn't always happen. 1 or 2 days a week, maybe she gets them.
Out of the 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
And what do you pick, like every other day you're supposed to?
Well, we're supposed to. She's Monday, Tuesday. I'm Wednesday, Thursday, and then we alternate Friday through Sunday. Is how it's supposed to. I was actually my lawyer back a couple weeks ago because I was looking to get it changed because she can never stick to it. There's always some reason why. So it's general that I start calling her around to find out if she's actually going to get him, even though yesterday she told me she would. So I started calling her about 10:30. Never got any answer until I can tell you. So I finally got a hold of her at 12:49.
And did she call you or you call her?
No, I called her. I'd called her at 11:25. I did that twice. I always call twice because generally she's asleep or whatever. And then I called her 2 more times at 12:21, and then I called her again at 12:49, and that's when she answered.
Okay.
Freaking out, saying that George was dead, and could I please come over? So I told her you need to call the police. Mm-hmm. And went and got my dog in his crate and everything, and started heading over here. She called me again at 12:54 asking if I was going to be coming over, if I'd left yet. And I told her I had already left. I was going to be there in a couple minutes. So I got here, knocked on the door, walked in just right in the front entrance area. Told her once again, you need to call the police.
Was she on the phone with anyone when
Not
you
yet.
saw her?
Not yet.
Okay.
She was shaking and she was trying to get herself something to drink because she was just like freaking out. So that's when she got on the phone and called, and I said, I'm going outside because I don't really want to be in here right now. So I came outside and I sat in my car until people showed up, and
Okay.
it's kind of where we've gone from there. So
Okay. So you called her about 5 or 6 times before she answered.
yeah, which completely normal.
Normal to you. Okay. The rotation real quick. So Monday, Tuesday, she'll have them. Wednesday, Thursday, you'll have them, and then you rotate each weekend.
Yeah, well,
Like it's every other weekend.
how it's supposed to work. Generally, it's 1 or 2 times, maybe a week. I think she had him last Tuesday was the last time he was actually over here.
And spent the night.
Yes.
Okay.
It's probably another week before that.
What's your son's name?
Lucas. Lukas.
L-U-K. And Boone.
Yeah.
You think he stayed here last Tuesday?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was last Tuesday.
Was well then. Okay, so you technically have him more than she does.
Oh yeah.
Is that where you're getting?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's why I said I was going
So
to the
even
lawyer. I
though
was
that's
trying
how
to get
it's
things
supposed to
changed.
be, you still have him.
Yeah,
the majority.
it's not a good day. George is in a bad mood, or whatever else reason. I think sometimes just she wants to stay up and drink and can't really do that if she's got to wake up and take him to school the next day.
Right.
Any number of different reasons. So
What an amazing mother.
An excellent mother, you might say.
An
Excels
excellent.
at everything.
Yes, I was just going to say that. One that excels at everything.
He just said when he showed up there, Sarah was shaking and trying to get herself something to drink. She was freaked out. Do you think that means she was trying to find her Dr. Pepper, or she was like looking for something to drink?
Well, I don't know, because I feel like if there was any alcohol, it was gone.
Right. Well, that's what I'm wondering. Was she looking around like, is there any wine left? Is there any booze? And
Yeah.
that's what he meant by trying to get herself something to drink.
Yeah, she could have been talking about her Dr. Pepper,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what she kept talking about when the police were there.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounded like she had a drink in there somewhere,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, I was also thinking that too, about her wanting to have an actual adult beverage, you
Yeah.
know, because it doesn't sound like Sarah's the type that can get through a day without alcohol. You know,
Right.
meaning it starts with alcohol.
Mhm.
She has to have something to drink, because she's gonna feel really crappy from the night before. And
Mhm.
she's clearly dependent. It's not an easy thing, I think, for most people to be drunk at 9 o'clock in the morning. You know, it's not something, even when I was in college, I don't think I was drunk at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, especially for it to be such a regular occurrence every single day, just drunk. I think that's when her day started. You know, she couldn't even wake up at a normal time. She wakes up in the afternoon. I mean, number one, it's because she doesn't have anything to do, right? She has no reason to get up. Of course, her kid should be reason to get up, but she doesn't even have a clock. It doesn't matter.
Right.
You know, she likes to just sit in bed. But she's also hungover. She's also very, very hungover.
Mhm.
So she's going to have to start her day with alcohol. And that's probably why she's shaking as well. And if she's freaking out, she's going to want to try to calm herself down.
Yes.
And that's why she's looking for cigarettes constantly, right, while she's outside. And I'm sure that at that time she was looking for alcohol as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent mothering.
Okay. How long have you known Sarah?
Since, let's see here, I was probably 23 or so when we met.
Oh, wow.
Something like that.
Since you were 23?
Yeah. Yeah, so probably, 20 years. We dated for quite a while. And then got married, whatever it was, 12, 13 years ago, something like that. Well, I guess 12, 13 years ago before the divorce. So I guess like 14, 15 ago, something like that, maybe.
Okay. What can you tell me about her?
I don't, she's generally not, she can get a bit violent when she drinks.
What can you tell me about her? Well, she's violent. Is that, it's like,
Yeah,
I know.
the first thing he says,
Yeah.
I understand in the context of
Yes.
the situation here, you're not going to say, well, she really loves to read books.
That is true. Yeah. This is what her favorite food is. Yeah. No, that certainly makes sense. He's going to be thinking about this issue right now. So he's going to want to be talking about her. But it's really interesting that right away he's making her seem like a suspect.
Yeah, I think he probably suspects her.
Absolutely. Yes, he does. Because he doesn't just come out and say something like, well, she's been in this abusive relationship with George. I've seen her with injuries before, and they've had, a violent relationship, and here's, how she is, she's been so scared that she's run over to my place and all of that. He immediately comes out and says she's violent when she drinks.
Mm-hmm.
Not to this kind of extent.
Right,
I don't know what happened exactly. But,
right. No, I'm just looking for...
that was part of it. The alcohol has gotten worse and worse and worse over the years. That's one of the main reasons why I divorced her. I just couldn't deal with it. It got to the point where, on weekdays, she'd go out, and I guess the George person is one of the people she had met, because I separated at one point and went over to my parents' house to live for a few months. And I guess she met him over at the pool place or something like that. But I'd come back when we were in therapy trying to work it out. And on a weeknight when he's got school the next day, I've got work the next day, she was out till 3 o'clock in the morning when the bar closes, and she'd bring people back over on the back porch. One time some random person walked in my house and started screaming for Sarah at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning when we're trying to sleep. I just couldn't get over it.
So did
Oh my God. Could you imagine?
No,
Sarah!
absolutely not. Yeah, that's crazy. Or just bringing people back to your house at 3 a.m. when your child, let alone your husband,
I know.
but your child is asleep and has to go to school the next day.
Yeah, exactly. So what was she doing at that time? Was she supposed to be a stay-at-home mother?
Yeah, good question. Obviously she wasn't working.
Right.
She wasn't getting up and going to work the next day, that's for sure.
No, she wasn't. She had to sleep all day so she could go out all night.
Yeah, and party with her friends. I know. Imagine waking up to somebody coming in your house screaming for your wife in the middle of the night. God damn, Brian had more patience than me.
I know.
you still live here?
No.
No,
I bought her out of our house.
Okay.
I was gonna just sell it and move because I kind of wanted to go back to College Park, which is where I'm from. But
Right.
I thought it would be maybe easier for Lucas if I just bought her out and kept that house, so he had a little bit of continuancy, kind of.
Understandable.
So that's what I ended up doing, and then she moved right down the street here. So.
And how long would you say the alcoholism has been a part of her life?
It's always been a part of her life. It seemed to have gotten worse and worse. I think more or less kind of since we had Lucas. And I think a lot of it was the fact that she kind of, I guess, maybe felt trapped or something.
Okay.
That, I mean, before that, I mean, whenever she wanted, you're outside having a drink, oh, I want to go play pool, you go over across the street, you play pool for a little bit.
Yeah.
That's not happening anymore when she got a kid.
Right.
So...
How old's your son?
He is 9. So, but I mean, she started just getting really angry when she drank a lot. She said last night she fell asleep. There were plenty of times where she just basically passed out from drinking. So,
So you've witnessed her pass out from drinking?
Oh yeah.
Okay. And when she passes out, is she like out cold?
Oh, she's out.
Like how difficult would it be to like wake her?
Well, I mean, if I were to like shake her or something,
Right.
I could probably wake her up. But me making a phone call or noise probably wouldn't do it.
Okay. And would she be like in the middle of doing something and just like out cold, or would she go to bed
Yeah,
and
it would
just be out cold?
Yeah, she wouldn't like fall over or anything. It would be more of a lay down and then she just out.
Right. Okay. What do you know about her and George's relationship, if anything?
It was. I mean, I think she had him arrested like 5 or 6 times for domestic violence. I mean, he's stuck a steak knife in the back of her leg one time.
Okay.
My God. Stuck a steak knife in the back of her leg. So that's the injury that she was talking about, that she needed surgery for a couple of times. That's insane.
I know. And he was arrested 5 or 6 times
Yes.
for domestic assault. They had a restraint. I thought they had a restraining order at one point.
They did.
Yeah, she wanted it dismissed or removed, I think.
Yes. Well, they didn't follow it.
Oh, okay.
That could also be the case as well. We are going to look at some body cam footage next time. That has to, I know that it's mentioned in there, and that could have been a different incident as well. But they do talk about this order of protection. You know, he's not supposed to be over here. Yeah, but man, stabbed her in the back of the leg. How does that even happen?
I don't know. I would think the relationship is over after that.
Yeah. Yeah, it certainly should have been.
But these are also the people who like punch each other in the face and choke each other and
Right, scratches and black eyes.
yeah.
And man, I don't know. I don't know how you get past that. Like, not only is there physical violence in the sense that they fight each other, but there's a knife. How does that not get worse?
Right.
He's been arrested. So has he always been the one that gets arrested, or has she ever?
She was also one of the times.
Okay.
One of the times, both of them were arrested. But all the others have been him. But the very next day, she's in there trying to get him bailed out. So
Right.
I don't know. Basically, they get drunk, they get in a fight, she gets upset, she calls the cops. I mean, granted, I saw lots of black eyes, bruises.
On her?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, there definitely was. Now,
Would you see George as much as you would see him or her?
I hardly ever saw him.
You hardly
I honestly, I didn't like being around either one of them,
Right.
to be honest, and him more so. So,
Why is that?
just I don't know. It's my ex-wife.
Yeah, he's the other guy. So, of course, he's not going to like him. That makes sense.
I'm sorry, but it cut out for me. What did he say?
Oh,
the reason he doesn't, just because it's his ex?
Yeah. You know, he
Yeah.
didn't come right out and say it. But, yeah, well, that's my ex-wife. So, yeah,
Right.
it makes sense.
She made me really mad with everything. how the whole divorce went down, and just, I mean, the way she acted and the way she changed and the way they both are, I mean, what it's done to Lucas and everything else. He's nobody I cared to see. Let me put it that way. I mean, it's not like I really went out of my way to, like, it's just
When you guys do drop-offs or anything, is it always through the school, or would you like have to come here and see them, or no?
No, it's pretty much always during the school. Now sometimes she would come over or something like that. Sometimes he would be driving, but I mean, he would just stay in the car. She would come in, so I mean, I really wouldn't see him.
So it's not like you have like conversations with George. Okay.
No, I mean, maybe a few times when they've drunkenly called me at night because she was telling me she needed to escape because of whatever's going on, or she's put him on the phone, but I don't know.
When's like
Oh my God.
Weird.
So not only is Sarah calling, but she's putting her boyfriend on the phone with her ex-husband.
Yeah. Just like she called her boyfriend's brother, both of them actually, to tell them that they were fighting, to get them involved. God.
I mean,
I'd block her.
I know. I know. That is, I mean, obviously he's going to be grateful for his son, right? But man, what baggage to have to carry. I mean, just like he said, he's really mad at her for how the divorce happened, how she changed and everything. It sounds like she just flat out abandoned her family and her responsibilities in that house and just cared about going out drinking at the pool hall. I'm sure it was a very upscale place too.
Yeah.
You know?
It's very classy, elegant.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a bunch of Sarahs and Georges, you know, just being drunk and fighting and playing pool. I bet you they were so good at pool.
Excelled at it.
Absolutely she did. Absolutely. But yeah,
You know what
God, how annoying. Go ahead.
Yeah, I thought it was very funny. He said that he believed Sarah felt trapped by motherhood, and that's why she started going out drinking more and more. And now, as a consequence of her drinking and a result of the relationships that she created, instead of being home with her family, taking care of her son, she's literally trapped in a prison.
Yeah.
For probably, if not the rest of her life, then the majority.
Yeah, at this point anyway. Definitely. Yeah, now she's stuck in there. Yeah.
What a sad thing too for the little boy.
Absolutely. Yes.
You know,
what a horrible position for him to have to be in. You know, it's not an uncommon one either, right? I mean, it's just this type of stuff happens all the time. But certainly, yes. I mean, he has his home with his father, which sounds to be pretty stable, right? I mean, from everything that I've heard from Brian, he seems very level-headed, and he just takes care of things. He takes care of his son, makes sure that everything's all set, you know, with his ex-wife and Lucas's mother. Like, hey, are you going to pick up your kid today? You know, make sure you do that. Like, having to call her incessantly and certainly not trusting her to just do it. That would never be a thing. It would never happen. You know, but the fact that she's supposed to have him, so for 2 nights during the week and then every other weekend, the fact that she maybe gets him 1 to 2 nights a week because of her own doing says everything. Oh, George is in a bad mood. I don't think so. I mean,
yeah, then fuck George.
Right, exactly. Make other arrangements. Can you do something else? Maybe go to dinner with your kid.
It doesn't matter anyway. I mean, George can fuck off if he's in a bad mood. He can go sleep outside.
Absolutely. Yes.
My kid's coming over.
Right.
Suck it up. I don't give a shit.
Right.
It would never happen anyway because there's no reason my kids wouldn't live with me. But that just shows like what Sarah could have had 50% custody. She probably, if she wanted it, she probably could have had the vast majority of the custody, and then Brian got stuck just 1 or 2 nights a week, because that's generally how courts work in our country.
Sure.
Like, the judge is going to go with the mother and give her primary custody of the kids. I'm sure Sarah just didn't want it. She didn't even try for it. Or maybe the judge, if it was brought up, would have seen what a shitbag she is. She's lucky Brian let her take that kid.
She is lucky. Yeah. She's lucky
But
that he didn't put conditions on him spending time with his mother. Like, I don't know, stop drinking, go to AA, clean yourself up. How about get motivated to have a life? Get a job.
Yeah.
You're not incapable of getting a job.
How about can't have Lucas there when George is there?
Yes,
Because
definitely.
you fist fight like you're fucking MMA fighters or something. And that's
Yeah,
not a safe environment for a kid to be in.
right. And so, how can you trust that that's not going to happen when he's there? Oh,
You can't.
they're going to behave themselves miraculously because there's a 9-year-old there.
Right.
Why would that happen? Why can't you do that all the time then?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. That would be very, very difficult to have a child go into that environment. Like, especially with a mom who didn't want to be a mom.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, she would have rather have gone out and spent time all night, felt trapped because of the responsibilities of being a mom. So now here's this little boy who needs to go hang out with his mom, who isn't ecstatic to have him over there. Doesn't
Yeah,
look
like Brian.
forward to that. Yeah.
No, not at all. She'd cancel.
Right. She wouldn't follow through. She'd come up with some stupid mistake or some stupid excuse. But yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. When he said probably because she wanted to drink all night, that's exactly it. Yes.
Yeah.
She wanted to drink all night and do nothing. That's what was more important.
Well, now she's in prison or in jail, whining and bitching about how Lucas doesn't respect her.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about Lucas. You were
Yeah.
mentioning that. What's going on with him?
I think I listen to lots of them, so they kind of get, I have them on as like background noise while I'm doing other things, so they kind of get mushed together in my head. But I think that little tidbit was picked out when Sarah put in it's in like family court, not criminal court, and she was trying to Brian, sorry, is trying to get his alimony order stopped because he still is paying her alimony while she's in jail.
For the last 4 years.
Yes. And he's like, this is crazy. Why am I doing this?
Yeah, I don't want to pay for her honey buns.
Exactly. She's in jail. Why do I need to pay for her?
Yeah.
And I have 100% sole custody of our child.
Yes.
So what the hell am I paying her for? So he took that to the family court, and she, of course, fought it and said he needs to continue to pay. And not only does he need to continue to pay, he needs to be respectful to her, because he's not being respectful to her or nice at all. She called him and he didn't even answer the phone. And when she talks to her son, he tells her, I don't have to do what you said. Nobody has to do what you say. Dad told me that. And that he's teaching her son to be really disrespectful and even mean to her. And mind you, these calls to Lucas, who's paying for those?
Good question.
That would be Daddy Brian.
That's
is
right.
Paying for them.
Yeah.
So she's so entitled and just has no gratitude at all. You need to pay for my collect calls. You need to answer every time I call you. And I'm going to call you 50 times a day, because what else do I have to do?
Right. And no one else will talk to me.
Nobody will talk to me. You're going to answer. You're going to pay for it. You're going to listen to me. You're going to tell my son to be respectful of me. I mean, children should be respectful of adults, or, as a rule, they should, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
But you deserve no respect from that child.
But what if that adult is in jail awaiting trial for the murder of the man that she was living with?
Yeah, I think it doesn't apply. It also doesn't apply when that adult has abandoned their child to get drunk.
Yes. Yeah. I wonder from his perspective what he felt and what he saw and what it was like being over there.
Probably for Lucas, when he was at his mother's house,
Mm-hmm.
I would guess that he was scared
Mm-hmm.
just because of the unpredictability of the situation. Is mom going to be drunk? Is she going to be sober?
Yeah.
Are they going to be fighting? What's George going to be doing? Is he going to be fucking weird and drunk
Yeah.
and being crazy? Because it sounds to me like Brian's not like that.
Right.
He's not going to, Lucas isn't going to find Brian passed out on the kitchen floor
Mm-hmm.
when he goes to get a drink of water in the middle of the night. And I think that kind of stuff probably did happen at his mom's house. I mean, I can't say for sure, but that's how that stuff goes.
Well, we're going to hear, actually, I just thought about this, from the property manager next time.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to hear her interview. And part of that has to do with Lucas, where, and just as a little preview, she said that they would see George playing with Lucas outside, never saw Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, Lucas was just riding his bike around unattended.
Yeah, alone. Yeah, because Sarah and George were probably inside sleeping.
Yeah.
Sleeping off their hangover. And children learn real quick, don't go piss mom off when she's in that condition. Because she's not going to, drag herself out of bed and make him waffles, even though she's very hungover. I'm sure she's going to tell him to get the fuck out of her bedroom and close the blinds.
Yeah, or maybe he
Mommy's
can't wake
sleeping.
her because she's not really the type that'll be able to be awoken very easily.
Yeah.
Jeez, yeah, that's really sad.
That's really sad.
It is. I wish that he didn't have to be in that environment at all. I wish that there were those conditions on Sarah to make sure that she was going to be fostering a relationship with her son. And to have him, if she's going to have him over there, then it needs to be a safe environment where you're going to be paying attention. And as a matter of fact, I can't remember who said it, if it's it may be in this interview, actually. So I may be speaking too soon. But when he said when George was sent to jail, that it was very different. So I don't know. Yeah. We'll see what he has to say anyway.
Like the last incident that you recall of there being like a domestic dispute between her and George?
I mean, she told me like a week ago she had to escape from the house and wanted me to come pick her up. I told her I wasn't going to because I'm just tired of it happening. I mean, it was midnight. I mean, child's trying to sleep and just...
Right.
Honestly, I don't always believe her when she said these things were going on. And
She called you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, apparently she went back inside and slept well. Was in a fine mood the next day. I guess didn't really remember calling me, so I don't know if it was just
brought up again?
if it was just she wanted to come over to, I don't know. She keeps on trying to come over to like hang out or something like that, or
She wants that booty call. Maybe.
Oh, gross.
I know.
Look at that face. Brian, I want to come over. Can you imagine her saying that?
I know, being all pouty. Yeah, exactly. But how annoying. I can't get over it. Every time, like, hearing these people talk about the interactions that they have with her, it's always really annoying and weird.
Yeah, calling at midnight. I need to escape. I need you to come get me. Why? So I can deal with your drunk ass all night, and then you can just go back home to him the next morning?
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened, except she didn't go
Exactly.
anywhere. She just woke up the next day and everything was great.
Mm-hmm.
God, so annoying.
She'll come over to spend time with Lucas rather than actually just having him over here like she's supposed to, but she wants to come over there and play with him. And so, I'm not sure how real that was. Last time I know there was an actual physical confrontation. It's probably been a little while because this last time George got arrested, I know he was on pre-trial, whatever, something. I don't know. He had a parole officer. He had a domestic violence class. He's like...
So that's the last time, basically the last time he was arrested was the last physical altercation that you recall?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't know for sure, but I think so.
And you have any idea what year or month that may have been?
Back a few months, maybe?
A few months ago?
Yeah, something like that, maybe. I don't think it was incredibly long.
Okay. Like around the holidays of last year, before the holidays?
I think it was probably before the holidays.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember.
Okay.
Because oddly enough, there was like a 3-week period where she actually had Lucas all the time she was supposed to because he was in jail for a month or something like that.
Okay.
Because they wouldn't let him out.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's where I was talking about before, where she was doing a little bit better and she was having him the times that she was supposed to. So maybe during that time she wasn't drinking as much.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Maybe she doesn't like to drink alone.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Good job, Sarah, for 3 weeks.
Right.
And you said when she drinks that she can get physically aggressive.
She can. I mean,
What?
she did it to me a lot where she'd hit me and stuff like that. I mean, she's tiny. I mean,
Yeah. What do you mean hit though? Like open hand smack you or like try and punch you?
Yeah, she'd punch me. I mean, more arms. She many times would use her claws. I mean, I had scratches on my neck at times, on my arms. I mean, things like that where she'd dig with her claws.
Okay.
I never got that drunk, and I had restraint. I never touched her back. I think
Right.
George didn't have that restraint, and at times he would hurt her back. So I mean, for all I know, all the times he got arrested, she started it. I don't.
It's pretty telling.
Yeah, I think he's being very honest
Yeah.
too. Like, don't get it twisted on who the victim in this relationship was. Like, there's no. I mean, George is the victim. Obviously, he's dead, but it was very mutual.
Yes.
Like, she wasn't just defending herself. She would start these fights.
Right. Right. I mean, even against him, she was doing the same thing. Scratches. How many people have said that George would have scratches all over him?
Yeah.
So she would just be attacking like a cat.
Yeah, clawing him.
Yeah,
I know.
clawing. Yeah. And punching. I mean, obviously, like he said, she's small. And Brian was definitely bigger than her. George wasn't that much bigger.
Right.
He was a pretty small guy. But yeah, I mean, so I can certainly see it where she is going to be the initial aggressor. And starts with it. I can definitely see that.
Yeah, me too. And then George is the one who ends up arrested.
Right, because he ends up fighting back, or maybe he does start it sometimes. It's tough to say. I mean, based on what people have said so far, it sounds to me like Sarah is an aggressor. She, starts things. She starts the argument. Certainly she didn't stab herself in the leg. you know?
Right.
So something happens in there where he's obviously physically violent as well. Um, but yeah, I mean, so it's hard to say, how it's going to start every single time. But definitely, it doesn't sound like a one-sided abusive relationship where one person is just taking it all, from the other.
Right.
I wasn't there, so. But I know she could get violent at times.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't know. It wasn't anything too, I don't know, too much. I mean, just.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you don't feel like she was a huge threat. I'm assuming, right?
No.
Yeah. Like you could handle yourself.
Yes.
Did she drink daily?
I think pretty much.
Okay. Do you know like her drink of choice?
That would be vodka.
Vodka.
Or wine, but
Okay.
vodka is the big one.
And does she or George have a job?
No. She hasn't worked for over 2 years. Well, I guess you could maybe call what he's got a job. He worked at the Ace Hardware up across the street here,
Okay.
which is now going out of business.
Okay.
He kind of off and on worked there. When he did work, it was 15, 20 hours a week, something like that. I mean, my alimony and stuff basically pays for where they live. So, I mean,
I'm sure that's great for you, Brian. Must feel amazing.
I
No,
know.
no resentment there.
Seriously. Seriously. The alimony that he's court ordered to pay, while he has their kid almost all the time,
Yeah.
pays for everything for that kid, I'm sure. His insurance takes care of the kid. She doesn't have insurance, she doesn't have a job.
No.
And he pays their rent, essentially.
Oh my God. Well, he was saying that he wanted his lawyer, or his lawyer was looking into having their custody agreement changed.
Mm-hmm.
And so perhaps that's where he wanted to maybe get the ball rolling on maybe cutting back on some expenses that are being paid to her.
In what world is that fair? I mean, I'm all for child support payments and alimony payments.
Mhm.
Like, you should have to pay that. But he had the kid. In what world is it fair that he should pay her rent so her and her new boyfriend can get hammered and neglect their son?
I know, exactly. Yeah. It's not as if she has custody of the child, full time or most of the time or something like that. She doesn't have, she's not doing anything. She's an unemployed dependent on Brian, and now you have another one with the boyfriend. And it's interesting how he characterizes George's job at the Ace Hardware, because when Sarah was talking about it in her interrogation, she was like getting choked up.
Yeah, talking about how much pride he had
Yeah,
in his job.
right. I mean, and that's great and all, but
Right, but Brian's like, he worked 20 hours a week at the Ace Hardware.
yeah, and it was on and off,
Mm-hmm.
right? So why was it on and off? I don't know. Was it?
We can guess. Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. I mean, and then she's talking about how his boss was awful and they let him go or something. But I mean, clearly the store's closing, right? So what exactly is so awful about the way that he was treated there? Maybe he was just a really shitty employee.
Well, when you're getting arrested 5 or 6 times in however long of a period of time for domestic violence,
Yeah.
and getting kicked out of the house every other night, getting drunk all the time, showing up with black eyes.
That's true. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, gouges all over your face.
Yeah.
What a horrible boss to be like, hey, you can't do that shit.
Right. And how many times did he call out of work? I'm imagining it may have been a little bit.
I'm sure calling out is a good day. I'm sure he just no-called, no-showed. I
Okay.
mean, I'm assuming a lot of stuff here, of course, but
Yeah.
like, you can't function and live the kind of life that Sarah and George did.
Sure. Yeah. If you're going to live that life, it's full time.
Mm-hmm. And they did.
And they sure did. That's the thing too, is that, okay, you worked at Ace Hardware. That's a retail job.
Mm-hmm.
You mean to tell me that you can't get another retail job?
No, I think that's bullshit. I'm sure they could get a job at any fast food place or, a grocery store or something. Absolutely. They could have gotten jobs. Jobs get in the way of daily drinking, though.
That is true.
Just like having a kid, that gets in the way of that.
Yeah. The only way that you can accomplish that is if you have an ex-husband that pays you alimony and also bought you out of the house that you shared. So that
And she still had no money.
She had no money. She had to call him and ask him for money.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm curious how much she got in that settlement for the house. Me too. Yeah, I'm really curious. So, if he bought her out of the house, does that mean it was half?
I mean, I don't know what the laws are in Florida regarding divorce, but it's obviously, in Sarah's favor if he was paying her enough alimony every month to like cover her rent and all her expenses. And her car, where do you think that came from?
Right.
Her cell phone, who do you think paid for that? She did not have a job, so
no,
he paid for literally everything. Yeah, and why would she? What's the big rush to get a job? Her bills are all paid.
Right, exactly. Yeah, he didn't sound like he was forcing her hand.
Right.
Wow.
They didn't need a ton, but I mean, she was always calling to borrow money, and but it's been like 2 years since she got a job. She keeps on telling me she's looking, and she's always finding the good opportunities and everything, but.
Right.
Yeah, I bet. Because when they're not cleaning, they're looking for jobs on the laptop.
Constantly.
Just all the time. Can't find one. We've been looking for a couple of years, though.
For 2 years, yeah.
Did you ever find out what she did for work?
No, I don't. Not that I know of.
Yeah, I'm curious if anybody knows, because I keep thinking about it randomly, and I mean to look it up and see if there's any reference to anything anywhere. But all that I hear is that she hasn't worked in 2 years. So what was she doing before? I'm so curious about that.
Well, I doubt it was like a career.
True. Yeah, there's no mention. There's no mention of any career. Yeah.
If she was like a nurse or a teacher or, I don't know, something, then you think that would be mentioned.
Yeah. She'd be one of those teachers that gets arrested for being drunk at school, though.
Definitely.
Yeah. We'd have body cam footage of Sarah, kindergarten teacher, drunk at school. Have you ever seen any of those?
I have.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, that would definitely be Sarah.
Okay.
Do you want to take it?
It's my dad. Just one second.
Yeah.
Hey. Well, just wait. I'm talking with the detectives right now, and I should be heading out here soon. So I can come get him. Okay? Is John out? Oh, okay. Is he awake? Okay. Good. Okay. Well, I should be up there very soon. Okay. Bye. Sorry.
Okay. We were just on the phone with someone. Okay. When you came over here, I know you said that she called you freaking out saying he was dead. Did she give you any more, like, did you ask why or how?
She told me that they were playing last night or something, and he got in the suitcase and she fell asleep.
Okay.
That's all she told me, so I don't know anything beyond that.
Okay.
And I really didn't talk to her much because I came inside, I told her you need to call the police, and then I came back out, and I think she went on the back porch to smoke a cigarette, so I didn't even really talk with her much.
Oh, like she was going outside to... Did you see her take a cigarette?
Yeah, she was going outside with a... Well, I also know when the cops showed up, she kept on telling them she had a cigarette burning out there and she needed to go put it out.
Okay.
But they were keeping her away from stuff, I guess.
Right. Okay.
But, yeah, she wanted me to come back there with her. I was like, I'm going out here. I don't really want to be in here, so...
Right. And that's when she went to call 911?
Well, she called 911 while I was in there. I was standing right in the foyer area.
Okay.
And, I mean, it was apparently a pretty quick conversation, and that's when she started to go that way, and I just told her I'm going out front, so...
Okay. 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 So they were playing, and she went upstairs and went to bed.
I don't know where
After
she went. She just told me she went to sleep.
Or she went to sleep. Okay. You don't know where.
I don't know where.
You didn't ask more questions.
I didn't ask more questions. I leave that to you guys.
Yeah. No problem.
Hey, I'll let you know when I'm done talking to these guys, okay? Hello? That's okay. All right. Never mind. Okay, bye. I'll call you when I'm leaving. Well, I was in the foyer.
No, not today.
Oh, other than
today.
Before today? I'm trying to remember if I've been in there. I haven't even really been over here lately.
So it's been a long time.
It's probably been at least weeks, maybe.
Does Lucas play baseball or anything yet?
We've tried to get him into sports. He's not a big sports person, really.
Did he ever play baseball?
He didn't play baseball.
Do you know why he's asking?
Oh, about Lucas playing baseball?
Mm-hmm.
Did Sarah say something about, like, Lucas hit George with a baseball bat?
No, but there's a mention of a baseball bat.
Oh, okay.
And this is what made me think of something else something else may have happened because they're asking about the bat.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I had him like a T-ball set and stuff like that, and we'd play catch.
Is it like a plastic T-ball set, or what kind of equipment did you have?
Oh, no, this is when he was like 3 years old. It was a little plastic thing I had in the backyard.
Did you ever buy him any baseball bats or anything?
I bought one for over here that Sarah said for Lucas and George to like play with or something. That was...
Okay, so that's another weird thing. Hey, can you buy a baseball bat so my boyfriend and your son can play?
Yeah, I don't want to speak badly of George.
Okay.
But what kind of man is, I don't know, he's living in a house paid for by another dude,
Yeah.
talking on a phone paid for by another dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he can't even buy a T-ball set to play with his girlfriend's son. Like, dad has to buy that. I don't know, George, come on. Go back to Ace Hardware.
He can't. It's closing.
All right, go find another one.
He can't do that
chain.
either.
There's lots of go to Home Depot. Go to, I don't know, just go get a damn job so your girlfriend's ex-husband doesn't have to pay for everything.
I know.
For you.
Well, now he has a lot of arrests for domestic violence.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that could certainly... And plus, he spent like 3 weeks in jail.
Right.
So that's going to be a problem if he had a
Mm-hmm.
job. So maybe he does need to stay unemployed.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we know that like being a felon though or having a criminal record doesn't necessarily stop you from getting a job. You can
No,
be unemployed.
absolutely.
So,
Yes. Yeah. I also think, though, that his transportation is going to be an issue.
yeah, it shouldn't be because Sarah has a car and she doesn't work.
Right. But how cooperative do you think she's going to be?
I know. Well, she's not, of course, and
Yeah.
she's drunk and hungover, and she
Yeah.
can't even go pick up her kid.
Right. Right. She can't have the responsibility to bring her kid to school because it's too
Mm-hmm.
early in the morning.
Yeah.
So, what about for George to go to work?
He has a bike.
He does have a bike, but I mean, how far can he go?
He could go to the store to get a bottle of wine.
Did he do that on his bike though? Because he
No,
could drive her car.
I don't know. I thought he walked to the store, but I could have just assumed that.
Yeah, I know that he could drive it because that's something the property manager talks about too. That she had
Mhm.
seen him drive the car. So I'm sure that could happen, but
Mhm.
yeah. Maybe that was a problem and I wonder if, you were talking about how it would be really strange for somebody to be okay with the ex-husband paying for their life, basically. But I wonder if he was also believing that he was getting on his feet. He's just
Brian or George?
George. That George is thinking, I'm just having a hard time now, like I'm going to get a job or I don't know.
Maybe, but I mean, you think that would you think it would push him more. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
comfortable living with another man paying my bills.
Mhm.
So I'm going to take care of myself and my girlfriend because I'm a grown man. And this is humiliating to have another man have to
Yeah.
support me. Like, I don't eat unless Brian gives Sarah money to feed me.
Yeah.
But I think in reality, it was just the opposite. It's like, well, it's not a big deal if I work. Brian's going to fucking pay for everything anyway.
Could be. Yeah,
I'm not going to
certainly
go
could
hungry.
be. Yeah.
Just have Sarah call Brian.
Yeah. And especially if their main thing that they did was drink.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess he's not going to be very motivated, right?
Right.
And it sounds like it's, I don't know, always contentious, but it sounds like it was contentious with his ex-wife as well, with the kids. And he wasn't paying. And so that was probably a lot of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he wasn't good at keeping a job and keeping up with his financial responsibilities.
Yeah, definitely. That's another reason to. How are you going to be unemployed and you have 3 children of your own to support? I don't know how old his kids were.
They sounded older.
Well, that's what I was thinking too. Maybe some of them were older.
Yeah.
But Sarah did mention how his youngest was disabled.
Yes. Yep.
And children are expensive anyway, but I'm sure special needs children who have special needs are going to be even more expensive.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And then you have George, who's just kind of floating by.
Just drunk.
Yeah.
Just
drunk with his girlfriend and just keeps getting arrested.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was like a year ago or something, maybe.
What kind of bat was it? Was it a wood bat?
Yeah, it was a wooden bat. I think it was like a junior size thingy. I don't know. It's something that I looked like kind of for his height or something, I think.
All right. Sorry.
Would you mind if I took a picture of your call log to show
Sure.
that you've all the
Do you just want to
attempts?
see hers, or you, like, zoomed in on hers so you can see all of those?
Yeah, that's perfect. So I'd say starting from today. I know her phone.
Did you text with her at all today?
Not today. I don't think I did today at all. That was last night. She was drunkenly texting me.
Last night?
Yeah.
What time?
That was 11 o'clock at night. I think that was last night.
Last night was Sunday. What does it say?
Oh, that's Saturday. Never mind.
Saturday.
That was Saturday night when I was watching the baseball game.
Okay.
Yesterday was just that. She said her account was in the negative, so I transferred her a little bit of money to get her out of the negative.
She sent you. Oh, that was the morning. Okay, so she thanked you at 11:56 that morning.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. What's the last thank you? What time? Okay, so just a few times.
Yeah, and then that one at
She left
12:01.
at 12:01. Okay, so afternoon, Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the calls.
So her account was in the negative on Sunday. And so she texted Brian. Brian transferred some money so she wouldn't be in the negative. And then that money was used to go buy wine.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yes.
God.
Yeah, that's what she needed the money for. She didn't care that her account was in the negative.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's in the negative, which sucks, but that also means I don't have wine money.
Right. That's what her and George wanted, wine and cigarettes.
Yeah, wine and cigarettes. Yeah. Even though when she was talking about it, she's like, he just came back with it. All of a sudden,
Yeah.
he came back with wine. Okay.
Right. She didn't send him to go get it. With what money?
I know. I know. Ugh. And so I wonder, I'm assuming his alimony payment would be what, maybe once a month? Or I don't know how often that would be. Yeah.
I mean, I would think so. That's usually how that works,
Mhm.
right?
I don't know.
It could be weekly, I guess.
Yeah, it could
but
be weekly depending on, you know.
I feel like if it were weekly, her rent wouldn't get paid though. Like
True.
if she had to take a part of a weekly check and put it away for rent or bills, I feel like they wouldn't get paid. If the alimony payments are monthly, I don't know. I feel like it's more likely that maybe the same day rent is due. That's the only way that's going to happen. I don't know. I just don't think she's responsible enough.
No, clearly. Clearly. She doesn't have a lot going on. How do you not have the ability to manage your bank account? What could you possibly be spending your money on? Oh, maybe alcohol?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what's taking all of your money.
And
So you don't have
puzzles.
enough. Oh, and puzzles. Maybe she buys the really expensive ones.
Yeah, the advanced ones for people who excel.
Yes, exactly.
Do you need like?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Okay.
Yep, I'll start from the top where it has her information. Go ahead. You could scroll down, and that's
could.
fine. Perfect. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Has Lucas ever told you anything about her, like witnessing anything between her and George?
He's heard arguments and things like that.
Okay.
He's not a big fan of staying over here, honestly.
Okay.
Just because they get in arguments and stuff like that. I don't think they've ever had a physical fight in front of him.
Okay.
But I know there's been arguments he's told me about.
Okay.
There's been times where I think things were starting to get to that point, and she has called me to come pick him up
Okay.
and bring him back over to my house. So
Yeah. Okay.
she's generally pretty good about having me come get him if, which leads to me not having a life because I can't ever do anything.
Right.
So I can't go anywhere because I'm too worried about something happening and me having to be over here quickly.
Yeah.
I wonder how often that happened.
Well, he said she drinks pretty much daily.
Mm-hmm.
We know she likes to call people and like tell on George.
Mm-hmm.
We're fighting. He's hitting me. I need to escape. I need help. I need money. I'm sure frequently.
Yeah.
George is dead in a suitcase. I need you to come over and help me.
Right, exactly. But I wonder how often he had to go and pick up their son because things were getting out of control.
Yeah, good question. I mean, according to the way I read it at least, is she would like make up an excuse. Like, oh, it's just not a good night for him to sleep over.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think it probably happened pretty often. Almost all the time, he said. Like, she would end up having him, like, once a week.
Yeah, she would have him once or twice a week, maybe. Maybe if that, and she wasn't good about that. So on the nights when she did have him, when he was supposed to be staying over, when he was already over there, she would call Brian and tell him when things were escalating. Why were they escalating? Perhaps you were drinking. Perhaps you both were drinking.
Well, it's because George was in a bad mood.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, here's this 9-year-old boy, 9 years old at the time of this incident. So, meaning he was even younger. I'm sure that he witnessed things. Why would your child have to hear arguments that you're having? And the thing is it's not a discussion, right? It's not a disagreement. Clearly, they're raising their voices. I'm sure they're swearing, calling names. I hate you. Those types of things, that's what a child is supposed to hear.
Right.
So it's good that he didn't see them hitting each other. That's good. But it's not good that he's hearing them fighting.
No, I know. Right. Here and screaming and swearing at each other.
Yeah.
And just knowing that your parent is out of control in any way, be it because they're drunk or they can't control their temper, their emotions, can't get themselves out of bed to pick you up from school, not being able to trust your parent. And I mean, think about when you were a kid. Like, I'm sure you never thought to yourself, like, my mom can't handle this, or my mom won't know what to do. Like, when you're a little kid, your parents can do anything. They're always completely in control. And if they're not, and when you learn that they're not and you learn the hard way, that's really traumatic.
Yeah.
Because you depend on them for everything. You look to them for everything, and then it's like, oh shit, mom can't even wake up because she's drunk. Or like Lucas riding his bike outside by himself for hours and hours, knowing that his mother's in there sleeping off her hangover. It's like traumatic for kids to deal with that. And thank God he has Brian.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it makes sense that he wasn't a fan of staying over there. It's unstable. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's scary.
It's scary. Yeah, you have to hear yelling. That would certainly be scary. You don't have to hear that at Dad's house. Why can't you just stay there?
Did Lucas have a bedroom in their apartment?
She didn't specifically say, but I'm going to say he probably did.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the layout of their apartment. I would say that he probably did. I can't imagine that he wouldn't. Because their apartment was a townhouse, and the apartment next door where the boys were living was just a one level, and that was a 2-bedroom. So I doubt that it was a 1-bedroom townhouse. Yeah.
Okay, do you have anything else?
Yeah, do you know if she's ever had any issues with drugs in the past?
To my knowledge, she's never really been a drug person. She's big on alcohol, but I don't think she's ever done. I mean, I think she told me like one time, like back before we got divorced, that at I don't know, this bar thing over there across the street near the Walgreens, whatever it's called.
Okay.
I've never been there, but somebody gave her a little bit of cocaine, like 2 years ago or something like that. But I've never known her to do drugs.
What about George?
No clue whatsoever. That
She's never complained to you?
No. That's not to say these things don't happen, because I try to keep myself out of and away from them in general, but...
Right.
Which vehicle is yours?
The Prius right up here.
In front of us?
Yeah.
What does that stand for?
That is what I got sent.
Oh,
I know
really?
it looks like a vanity thing. No, that's just this last time they, I guess, sent me a new plate, and that's what was on it.
Awesome.
I received an embarrassing license plate one time.
Oh, really?
I did. So I just moved out of state and got the new license plate in the mail, and I'm like, oh, I wonder what it's gonna say, just random letters and numbers. And I open it up, and the last 4 numbers were 6969.
Oh, that's cool. That's not embarrassing.
No, it isn't, Miss Amanda James. Well, okay, so when I first got it, I'm like, that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
That's really funny. What are the freaking odds that I'm going to get that? I'm like, whoever at the prison made this one was laughing that day.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was pretty funny. But then I'm like, you know what? I don't like this. I'm so embarrassed because I feel like people are going to think that I picked it. Because what are the odds that, I mean, I know that obviously 6 and 9 it's just a series of numbers, right? So they're going to appear randomly. And to have it appear one time is one thing. But to have it back to back, I'm like, I don't want people assuming things.
I think it means you're lucky. You got such a cool plate number.
It is not cool. It's embarrassing. Yeah, so I did. I told them that I needed another one, and they did comply. Well, I just wrote in.
Like, oh, like what, you don't like to 69?
Right.
Some kind of prude or something?
Yeah, exactly.
Have you ever tried it? You might like it.
Oh my God, maybe it would signify that I like orgies or something, because there's, more than one happening. I'm a swinging.
Double 69, yeah.
That's right. Oh my God. I know, but I was so embarrassed. I was like, I do not want anybody assuming anything, because I was thinking, what would I think if I saw that? I'd be like, they picked it.
Loves 69.
Loves it. Loves it. Just wants it all the time.
And they want the world to know.
Yeah, they're not ashamed.
Well, I want to be like that person. Proud. Proud to love 69ing. With 2 couples.
Right, 2 couples. I love love.
Right, there's nothing embarrassing about loving love.
Yeah. So I can imagine being really defensive about it too. Like just at the gas station, you know, somebody just happens to look over and they're not looking at anything. Be like, what? So
I didn't fucking pick it.
oh my
They just
God.
sent it to me.
Yeah. What are you looking at? What are you, a prude?
What do you think? I'm some kind of pervert? I hate 69.
Oh, shit.
The worst.
I know.
Oh, no.
Oh, God. Anyway. Yeah.
Okay.
This is really serious. Why are you laughing? This is really serious.
You're right. It's very serious.
Okay. Anyway, Brian, what else you got?
So you can make that up whatever you want it to be.
I could.
Tell them it's for racing. You're going to
Yeah, that you're racing.
Yes, racing in
Your
my Prius.
I'm not saying you win. I'm just saying you race.
Oh, man. Okay. Anything else, Scott? Okay. Is there anything else that you think is important for us to know that we have not asked you? About either George or Sarah?
I don't think so.
When, I mean, you guys have been separated for, what do you say, 5?
We've been divorced about 1.5 years. We were separated a good 8 months before that or so.
So,
And we had been separated one other time before that, before we got back together, and we're trying to do therapy, which didn't work at all. So,
How long has she been living in this apartment?
ever since we got divorced. So,
Just a year and a half ago?
no, longer than that then. Because I took over the house, I moved in there, and she moved here. Because I told her I was buying her out of the house. So I guess it has been longer than that. I think she just said she renewed, so maybe just past 2 years.
Okay.
That may be right.
So I think she said she's been here like 4 years.
no, she's been with George. I don't remember what she said.
Yeah, she was with
She's
she
been
was
here.
with George before we were divorced. So
Yeah. Okay. And any time that that you recall when you guys were together, and she would be drunk, did she always like resort to getting angry? Like, is she an angry drunk, or would she, like?
her main problem is she can't stop.
Okay.
I mean, she can't go out and have a glass of wine with dinner.
Right.
That's not a thing she can do, because once she starts drinking, she will continue drinking basically until she out.
She goes to sleep.
Yeah.
If she were to be drunk, would she like want to play games with you? Like, did you guys?
Oh,
like...
yeah. There's a really good period where she is very good, but then she drinks past that and she gets into the angry bits.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Can you just raise your right hand for me? Do you promise and swear everything we've talked about has been true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. This ends the recording 15:52 hours. Today's date.
Okay, so she calls him back just over the phone.
Okay.
Is March 1st, 2020. The time now is approximately 16:41 hours. This is in reference to Orange County case number 20-017904. I am on the phone with, can you state your name, sir?
Brian Boone.
And I have a couple follow-up questions that I wanted to ask Brian Boone in reference to this case. Brian, just give me your date of birth for me.
5.
Okay. And do you promise and swear everything we're going to talk about is going to be true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Okay. So we had a conversation about the incident and your involvement a few days ago, earlier this week, I believe on Tuesday. And after looking through Sarah's call logs, I noticed that she called you on February 23rd, which would be the Sunday night at around 23:46 hours, that's military time, but in normal time, that's 11:46 hours. Do you recall that phone call?
Okay, so that's a really big deal.
Yes.
So it kind of puts to rest the idea that she just went upstairs and went to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because she was clearly awake. Now, she did say that she was awake for some time, where she was waiting for him to come upstairs, right? And they kept saying, yep, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm trying to remember what she said. Like 30 minutes, she said
She
waited
did.
for him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that. But then she got mad at them for saying you were up there for 30 minutes.
Right.
So you're stuck on this 30 minutes. But yeah, so now there's a phone call. So that's really important. Just another piece of digital evidence that's going to be really important for the investigation.
Mm-hmm. I do, well, somewhat. I was asleep when she called. So she woke me up. I was half asleep when I was talking to her. She did sound very inebriated.
Okay.
I don't remember what all she said. I'm kind of used to her calling drunk late at night and things like that, so it didn't faze me as anything out of the ordinary. I basically just kind of got her off the phone and told her I'm going back to sleep and I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Okay. You said that she sounded inebriated, like she was drunk?
Yeah, I mean, she didn't sound like, it's hard. I was half asleep at the time. I don't think I remember hearing anything bad in the background or anything that would have caused me concern, but I don't really remember it that well.
Okay. But she was under the influence of alcohol based off of your knowledge of just knowing her and knowing when she's not under the influence.
Yeah. As soon as I heard her start talking, I almost kind of just zoned out away from it because she says all kinds of nonsense when she does this late at night, and I was trying to get her off the phone so I could go back to sleep. Yes, I'm sorry, I'm on the phone right now. You can get yourself right off.
By the way, that's the detective typing. So it's in the recording, just so you guys know. Okay. That's not Amanda James.
It's not me.
Jump right off. Your pajamas are right here, okay? Hold on, buddy. I'm sorry.
It's
I'm sorry.
okay.
Go ahead.
It's okay.
What?
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Are you ready? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you remember her saying anything specifically about George?
I don't think so. I don't really remember. I really don't remember much of the conversation, honestly.
Okay, I appreciate it. Okay, and the phone conversation lasted for a little over 2 minutes, if I'm not mistaken?
May have been, yeah.
Okay. And you said that it's kind of normal for her to call you late at night or just kind of whenever she's under the influence and she's kind of just babbling on and you have to try and get her off the phone if you don't.
Yeah, it's a thing that happens.
Okay. Okay, so you can't remember anything specific about what she may or may not have said, but she did sound inebriated. Does that sound correct?
Yeah.
And you couldn't hear anything in the background?
Not that.
As far as like arguing or yelling or anything like that, you couldn't hear any of that?
I don't think so.
Okay. Do you know where she was located? Did she ever say?
I was assuming she was at home.
Okay, but she didn't say.
I mean, she didn't have a lot of money. She didn't really go out anywhere, so I assumed she was at home.
Okay. But you wouldn't know where in the house she may have been?
No.
Okay, she didn't give you that information. Okay.
Not that I remember. It's possible she said something. I don't really remember, though.
Okay. All right, is there anything else that you think is important for me to know about that phone conversation?
I don't think so.
Do you guys talk often? Like, in a day's time, like, do you guys talk daily?
More than I would like. Normally, anytime I'm calling her, it's to find out if she's actually going to be picking the child up like she's supposed to.
Right.
Like that next morning with me constantly calling.
Right.
She'll call to talk to Lucas, or sometimes when she's drunk, or she wants me to come pick her up because she's scared of George, or, I mean, any number of different things.
Okay, you're kind of like her call person, like she...
Yeah. It's gotten very old over the last couple of years, so I've started to just kind of ignore what she's saying and just try to get her gone as soon as possible.
Right.
Because, I mean, honestly, for a long time, I tried to help her out, give her refuge, get away from him, and she just kept bringing him back, and I eventually just gave up on the situation, so...
Right. Okay. All right, do you promise and swear everything that we have talked about has been true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Okay, this ends the recording at 16:47 hours.
All right.
I like how Brian says he talks to her more than he would like to.
Yeah, I'm sure it is just so frustrating. I mean, like he said, that at the beginning he would try to help her out. And I think that is probably the consensus of everybody. You know, you're going to hear the same thing of, you know, try to help her out. Try to be somebody she could talk to. But she kept just bringing him back. And it was the same thing for his family as well. You know, we heard that it was a constant thing. They were fighting all the time. It was really annoying. That is really annoying. I mean, what do you do? What do you do? At a certain point, it just gets old. You know, and basically you have to sit there and watch two people run toward a cliff. And when they get to the point of either they're going to go over or they're going to stop, one of them is going to push the other over the edge. That's it.
Yeah, and it must be extra frustrating for Brian because he's sitting there watching all this, and I'm sure he's thinking, what about your kid?
Certainly.
What about our kid here? Like, you've got all the time in the world to fight with George and get drunk with George and deal with George's bullshit, but no time for your own child.
Yeah. Yeah, just and constantly being a nuisance. You know, constantly being a nuisance, calling and crying and saying you need to escape. You need to escape. That's pretty extreme. Right?
Yeah. Escape your own home.
Yeah.
There's an easy escape, actually. You call the cops, you have them take George away, and you don't let him back in.
Right. That's the thing. You don't go down there the next day and get him out. Why are you bothering everybody?
Right. Yeah, you chose this shit. You're choosing this every time you get him out of jail.
Yes.
Or let him back in the house.
Right.
After he chokes you or stabs you or whatever craziness is going on.
Yeah, it gives you a black eye, whatever. Yeah. And then you're calling everybody hysterical for everyone to come and do something, right? You have to help me. Get me out of here. Arrest him. He hit me. Okay, so everyone comes over. Now we have to do something. And then, oh no, don't arrest him. Or I'm going to come there and I'll get you out.
Right.
What are you doing?
It's funny how in her interrogation with the police, she talks so much about how she helps George. She wants to help him. I am helping him. He needs help, and I'm the one to help him. But everybody else who talks about Sarah is basically like, yeah, she needs help. I tried to help her. She's the
Yes.
one who needs help in reality. She's the one who is, the way she's trying to portray George is just this like mess of a human. And I'm sure he
Mhm.
was.
Mhm.
He definitely was. But she wasn't helping him. She was just down down there in the gutter with him.
Yes.
She wasn't helping to bring him up out of it.
No, not at all. No. No, there was nothing positive about the relationship that they had except for they had drinking buddies.
Mhm.
They had two people who accepted that lifestyle.
Right.
And you have Sarah, who needs to feel in control of something. She's very controlling,
Mhm.
very overbearing. It's so funny how she really treated George according to the description that she gives of that night, even though we know that that's not an accurate statement of what happened. But the way that she says that they were doing things, it was like basically a kid who's home for like a snow day. You've got to keep him occupied. Okay, let's go do the puzzle now. This
Yeah.
is puzzle time. Okay, now we're done with that. So let's listen to some music. And then, okay, now we're going to paint. We're going to paint
Mhm.
together. And she's saying that she got these things because she doesn't want him to drink.
Mhm.
But they were drinking while they were doing them.
Right.
Clearly, something's not working. The
Yeah.
classes aren't working. The substance abuse classes aren't working for him. The domestic violence classes aren't working for him. Oh, you had class today. Show me your homework. We're going to go through your papers together.
Oh God,
Isn't that
how
ridiculous?
insufferable. While
Yes.
she's fucking drunk.
Yeah.
Let's look at that. Let's look. See now, George. See what you do to me?
Oh my God,
See
that's
that?
yeah. Yeah,
And according to her,
exactly.
he said, "Wow, Sarah, now I see. Now I see what I did. I'm so sorry for what I did to you."
Hmm.
Meanwhile, he's still recovering from a black eye.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, he's got the gouges from
Yes.
her nails. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. Gosh.
Yeah, she is so insufferable. I absolutely could see her. Like, let's see what you did in class today.
Hmm.
Let's take a look at your assignment, and then we're going to do a puzzle.
I know. I know, exactly. It's so weird. Like little activities.
Mhm. Yeah, and she said right. She said she got those things, the puzzles and the paints and all that stuff, because she doesn't want to drink, but also because he gets so upset about like being unemployed and having no money. Those things really bother him. So she wants to take his mind off that with puzzles
Yeah.
because that's the adult way to solve that problem. Just avoid
Sure.
thinking about it and do a puzzle.
Right. Don't fix anything. Yeah. What are you overwhelmed by because your ex-wife is calling you a deadbeat because you're not
Yeah,
taking care of your kids? Or the fact that you have your girlfriend's ex-husband basically living for you, giving you money so that you can
literally.
have a
Yeah.
place
I
to
mean,
live. Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. I'd be pretty depressed about that too.
Mhm.
That is humiliating. Like I would
Yeah.
feel like a piece of I would not feel good about myself, okay? But then can hide and seek, you 40 something year old weirdo.
I know.
Go get a job.
Well, they're looking constantly.
Yeah. all day and all night.
All day, all night,
Your
looking
turn.
for jobs. Yeah, I know.
You've been on the laptop looking for jobs all day. It's my turn. I want to find a job.
I know. But you know what's funny about that too? She was talking about how they have too much togetherness and that George wants to spend every moment together. And it's too much. She needs to go upstairs and he needs to hang out downstairs. But yet, on that very night, they were together the entire time, according to her, doing every single activity, starting at the same time, ending at the same time. Like they were doing everything together based on her direction as well.
Right. Now we do this. Now we do that.
Yes.
Now let's go outside. Now let's go inside.
I know.
Let's turn the music off. You get way too into Lil Wayne.
Way too into it. Yeah.
You need to calm down, George.
So when they were asking him about the bat, like, hey, like in a roundabout way, did you buy any bats that are over there?
Yeah.
It got me thinking because, again, I'm so messed up about how he got in there if they were fighting. You know? So is it possible that she used the bat? Did she hit him with the bat?
So it's certainly possible. I would think that would be a very significant injury.
Sure.
Like enough to knock him out.
Right.
I feel like that would do some real damage.
Like a fracture.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, something more than a bruise, which is what they described.
Right.
I mean, she certainly could have hit him with a bat and left a bruise there, but enough to like knock him out.
Yeah.
To the point where she could get him in a suitcase. Shoot. Yeah, I agree. I'm very confused about how he ended up in the suitcase if they were fighting. But I still think the most likely answer is that he did get in it by himself.
Yeah.
Just because it would be so difficult for her to.
For her to get him in there. I know.
Yeah.
I know. I'm so messed up by thinking about it. It's very confusing.
Yeah, I know. And I really want to know. And it sucks that we won't know because she's a liar.
Right.
I want her to
Absolutely.
tell the truth about that part.
I know. I know. She's never, ever going to.
No. No, she will not.
But I mean, I think it's great that there's more to the story that other people are contributing to. Because it does provide at least some timestamps for things. You know, because again, she's not telling the truth.
Right.
She's clearly not telling the truth.
Yeah, well, without the neighbors' accounts of what happened, I would have assumed that she was kind of telling the truth. That maybe I'm just dumb and naive, but like they were playing some weird game of hide and seek. She zipped him up in the suitcase, taunted him in there, and then didn't necessarily mean for him to die in there, but she definitely meant to leave him in there overnight. She just didn't give a shit to punish him. But then you get them saying, no, we heard something go down those stairs.
Yeah.
100%. And that just adds a whole like level of sinister to it.
It does. Absolutely. I mean, well, I'll be stupid with you because I didn't know any better. I guess. Not that it's possible that she could be lying, but the fact that I didn't know what else could explain it.
Right.
You know, because it didn't make sense that here you have a grown man who died in a suitcase. How did he get in there? Well, he had to have gotten in there.
He had to have gotten in there, right. And why are you going to get in there?
Yeah, right. I mean, it's not like she stood there with the bat and was threatening him, right?
Right, you better get in the suit. No, I think he would have punched her in the face. He would have, like, I'm sure they fought all the
They
time
would have
like that.
fought. Yes,
He's
they would
not
have
going to
fought.
be scared and like cower and get in the suitcase.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd like grab her by the hair or something. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he'd be able to overtake her, somehow.
Or run out of the house. If you're
Yeah,
that scared.
definitely.
Yeah,
Sure.
he's not going to get in the suitcase, but how is it hide and seek anyway? Unless he got in the suitcase and then, because he can't zip himself up in the suitcase. She
No.
zipped him in there.
She definitely did. The only way that it could be hide and seek is if he got in there and just closed the flap.
Mm-hmm. And then she's like, "Oh, I found you. I'm going to zip you up in there.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it so quickly that you don't even know what I'm doing to just simply push your arm out to stop me."
Right, exactly.
Or stand up. Like,
Yeah.
he must have let her. He must have been like, "Oh, haha, that'll be," I don't know. I don't even know. Because if he struggled in any way while she was zipping it up, he would have been able to get out.
Unless there's, because you know how a lot of times there's zippers. I'm trying to think.
But just like, imagine you're like laying in a suitcase, like playing hide and seek because you're weird.
Mm-hmm.
And then the lid is closed, and then you hear your crazy girlfriend come up the stairs. "Oh, you're in the suitcase. I found you. You suck at hide and seek.
Yeah.
Sarah. You're a failure."
Yeah.
Then she starts zipping it up. I mean, I guess she could do it really quick, but I feel like it would be pretty easy to just get up. Just like push your body out of it, push your arm out, push your leg out to block
Right.
the zipper.
Right.
She'd have to be real quick and like dexterous, right? Is that the word? To, nimble.
Yeah, have
have to be
dexterity.
Right, quick and nimble to get that closed before he could react. And I don't think
Right.
she was,
No, I mean, first she was
judging by her
very
her
drunk.
speech.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so confusing. It's really confusing.
That is a mystery.
Yeah. So they started fighting at around 7:30. Well, that's when she started getting mouthy. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So we have that. And then later on, you have, the neighbors talking about them fighting and yelling and doing their normal stuff. And then the really loud bang at around 11-ish.
Mm-hmm.
They have the, it's not going to be the exact time because obviously it happened before 11:11.
Right.
But it was around that time. So they were right on that. And
Yeah,
they
were.
wouldn't have known.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then you have the phone call that she made to Brian. Why did she call Brian?
I don't know. I wish Brian had talked to her, though.
I do too, but those calls must have happened all the time. That's why he didn't pay attention.
Yeah. No, I understand. He's
Yeah.
just like, I'm sleeping.
Yeah, exactly. What do you want, Sarah?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "Arr."
He's like, well,
Yeah,
suitcase.
right.
Oh. He hung up.
Right. I know exactly. But that provides more of the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, it's that digital evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Can't get away from it. No matter how hard you try. Even that pouty face isn't going to get you away from the digital evidence. It's going to find you.
It's not fair that the digital evidence is assuming.
I know. So you're assuming that the digital evidence is correct.
Is evidence.
Yeah, is
good,
evidence.
right?
That you're assuming that is evidence.
That's
Yes.
not fair.
That's not
Backfires
fair.
on me. You tricked me.
I know they tricked her into going down there. They tricked her, but she knew at the same time.
I know. I had a feeling this was going to happen. Really? You had a feeling you were going to get arrested? No way.
No. No, I don't think she had a feeling about that at all because why would she just walk in there?
Mm-hmm.
You
Well, she
know,
was helping George.
she was. She's always
She was
helping.
helping George.
I know. George, you've already done enough to George. You know, I think you can stop helping him now, quote unquote, helping. You've done enough.
Yeah, she's going to help him by telling them what a loser he was.
Pretty much. That's pretty much what she did and how she was such an amazing girlfriend. His probation officer, she's amazing. We had a 45-minute talk.
Yeah.
I hope she gets introduced at trial. So we can hear, you know, we can hear how differently everyone else saw Sarah than the way she believed that they did.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And then Sarah has to listen to it.
Yeah.
With that frown on her face.
Oh my gosh. I know. So her questions to them are going to be arguments.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to be trying to have conversations with them instead of doing the proper questions. So she's going to be objected to constantly, and those objections will be sustained, and she's going to get really annoyed.
Yeah, I know. I can't wait to see it, actually.
If it's going to go. Do you think there's a possibility she would ever take a plea?
I don't know. She should.
Yeah. Well, I was listening to a video today, and the channel is called The Lawyer You Know.
Mm-hmm.
And he was covering a hearing that she had. And I missed the very beginning of it. It may have been either today or yesterday. It was very recent because they were talking again about the shock cuff on her leg.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing about that is, so at their prior hearing, when they were talking about this cuff, she agreed to it. She basically was like, yes, I'll sign for it today. Like, let's do it, because she wanted the ability to be able to walk around the courtroom.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that was going to have to happen was she was going to be meeting with someone from the public defender's office who was going to talk about clothing. And they were going to have to find clothes that would hide that, right? And
Right.
It's basically on the calf. It's like on the calf down to like the Achilles area.
Mm-hmm.
So they were going to be able to hide that with pants. Well, guess what she would rather wear?
What?
A skirt. So she brought that up today. And the judge is like, you understand that if you wear a skirt, that the jury can see that you're wearing a cuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see how annoying she is. I mean, obviously through all of the things that we've heard so far, but even just in these motions and in these hearings, because why wouldn't you just wear pants?
She
Why?
just wants to be difficult.
I know, she's being so difficult with this. I mean, I could understand some things that she brings up. But this is ridiculous. So the other option is that she can sit at the table. She'll be shackled underneath.
Mm-hmm.
And the state will have to do all of their arguments and everything from their table as well. They're not going to have free reign
Right.
of the courtroom themselves. It'll all be the same. But it's like, this matter should have already been done and dusted. Now, why are you bringing up an issue of you wanting to wear a skirt? Who gives a shit? You don't have to wear a skirt. Why is that important to you?
Yeah, I think she just wants to be difficult, honestly. I think she just wants to feel like she has a win.
Yeah, I mean, and so she's trying to argue and say, well, can you put the cuff higher? And the judge was like, no, that like the deputy said, this is where it is. This is where it's placed.
What higher where? Like on her upper thigh, like a garter
Yeah,
belt?
she wants to wear a garter belt.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's very strange. It's like, stop wasting your time on this. Worry about other things. I mean, so the other things that she was bringing up was number one, the ability to use the laptop longer. You know, because she, so basically the people at the jail were also at the hearing, and they were saying that, okay, it has to be locked up at 4, but then you can have it, I think it was from 8 to 10 or 8 to 11 on Fridays, you know, that type of thing, where they could add a couple of hours to the end of the day. But in them talking, you can hear how logistically it's difficult. Like these types of things that sound like simple requests are not simple in a prison, where everything has to be thought of and every situation has to be considered. They have to have the staff to be able to take the USB drives and take the laptop and put it in security, and then, you know, be able to take care of all of the little steps along the way, because everything has to be secure.
Right.
So it's not easy just to say, oh yeah, you can just stay in there for a little bit longer. No. There's a process for everything. They have to follow it. Not only just out of fairness to everybody, but also for safety. That's the number one thing, is for safety. So then the other issue was with her documents, the hard copies that she wanted. Well, right now she's living in a dorm with 60 other inmates. So, and she's in general population. And so they don't have a place to house this stuff. So it's just in there with everybody.
Right.
And so, you know, she's asking for accommodations for where and how she can have these things. And the jail said, well, basically, your other option is to be placed essentially in solitary confinement. You can have your own cell, and you're going to, you know, have your discovery, the boxes with you. So the thing that I hadn't ever considered was any fire hazard, because apparently the number of paper is even, there's even a guideline to the amount of paper an inmate can have. Because if it's too much, it's a fire hazard. So she's being restricted with that, where she's being given these bags that are fire retardant, so it's not going to catch on fire, and that's where it has to be stored. And there's only a certain amount that she can have. Oh my gosh, it's so much, you know. And she, in one of the other issues, is she's saying, well, can I just have access to a classroom where I can have my stuff? And they're like, no, you can't. Well, even though nobody uses it, no, you can't. You don't get free reign of everything. You're an inmate. You know, she wants a lot of accommodations, and some of them seem legit. Like, for example, she wants access to a word processor. That makes sense, right? She's having to handwrite everything. That's a lot. But they're basically saying they can't do that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
This is why you don't fuck around until you get your right to counsel like taken away from you.
Yeah.
There are significant disadvantages to, well, first of all, having to represent yourself at all, but doing it from a jail makes it even more restrictive.
Definitely. Yeah, because the other thing that she wants is she wants the ability to use a phone
Mm-hmm.
and not have it be collect calls that she has to make. And they're like, well, that's too bad. Basically, that's the
Yeah,
phone. The phone system that we have is the one that you're going to use.
yeah, you're still in jail.
Yeah, that's the thing. And she also wants the internet. So, I mean, that to me, it's not completely, a ridiculous request for her to have access to the internet, because then she could have access to the docket. She could have access to case law and stuff like that of whatever she needs to look up. Obviously, it's not going to be something where she can just do whatever she wants, have
Right.
access to the entire internet. But she should have access to certain things, certain tools that everyone else has, to be able to represent herself properly. In this case, she's all by herself. So I don't see having certain things as special accommodations. Like, I just feel like this is what she's needing to do. And no, she didn't choose to do this. This was placed upon her because she was unable to work with the attorneys that were provided to her.
Mm-hmm.
But it also doesn't make sense that they're like, here's a pen and paper. Good luck.
I know.
So
It was
certain
like 2
things.
months.
Yeah, exactly. So what this lawyer was saying was he's kind of thinking 60-40 that she would take a plea. That she's in way over her head with this.
Oh, she definitely is. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's not really fully aware. Well, number one, I mean, she even says it herself. She doesn't know what she's doing. But also, number two, she doesn't know how to utilize the resources that she does have, because that investigator that was charged with downloading everything to the USB drives, that's her investigator. So he can be doing all of the things that she needs done, like interviewing witnesses and stuff, getting statements, stuff like that. I just think, yeah, she's in way over her head. There's not enough time, because she was even asking for money in order to have a forensic psychologist work with her, or,
Yeah, she's got to get all her own like expert witnesses and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
she has to pay them. I heard the judge telling her that you should hire, this expert and this one. This is the one the courts used before. Maybe you could go with them. With what money, Your Honor?
Yeah, she's going to be provided with money.
Oh, they are going to give her money.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it comes out of some, they were calling it JAC.
Okay.
So I think it's $10,000 that she has. I want to say it's $10,000 for everything. So for everything that she needs to do, that's what she has. But there's going to be another hearing on that as well, I believe.
I think Brian should just pay for it all.
I agree. Where's the alimony going? What are you using that money for?
Honey buns and
Honey buns and
fancy
ramen.
cocoa butter lotion.
Oh, yeah.
Real toothpaste. The luxuries.
Yeah. I wonder if she's going to come to court with the hairstyles like braids and stuff. You know how sometimes you'll see.
Oh my God, like cornrows.
Yeah, or something. Yeah. One of her friends in jail.
If she had friends, I don't think she has friends.
She
She's
says that
terrible.
she does.
Oh, really? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, she was saying, because when they were talking about how they could give her own cell, and she wouldn't technically be in solitary because she'd still have access to her normal routine. She would just be living in there instead of where she is now. And she was saying she doesn't want that.
She doesn't want her own private room.
No.
She wants to stay in the dorm.
Yeah.
Wow.
She wants to stay in the dorm.
I would think the worst part about being in jail would be being in a dorm with a bunch of crazy
I know.
Bunch of crazy. But she's the craziest, so I guess.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I hear that solitary confinement is like the worst thing you can do to somebody, to
Oh,
be
I
in
know.
total isolation.
Yeah, isolation definitely, but I mean like it's the difference between living alone or having a roommate.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking at least. Like, do I have to share a cell or a room with somebody?
Yeah.
And that she would just have her own room, her
She
own
would.
cell,
Yeah,
but
she
be
would.
able to, she'd be able to go out and do whatever
Hmm.
she does anyway. I don't know. Maybe she knows something that I don't, obviously, but
Yeah. We're going to need you to do 60 days in, like that show,
oh,
so you can let
in
us
a
know what it's like.
Florida jail,
Yeah.
in Orange County jail.
Yeah, in the same one.
Okay, that is above my pay grade.
Oh, okay. Well, as a
That
as an 80s journalist, you wouldn't do it?
the
That
parking
doesn't
lot
sound like an
from
80s
Orange County
journalist
jail.
to me.
I ran over my ex-husband just so I could serve 60 days in the Orange County jail, going undercover. I got it. I can do it. I can do
Yeah,
it.
see? Easy. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
So I
Well,
have a
mhm.
question,
Yeah.
and this is not, I don't know if it's an easy question, but
Okay.
so we all hate Sarah. I think she's insufferable. She's so annoying. She's
Mhm.
so entitled.
Mhm.
She's so bratty and bitchy, and you just want to backhand her, right? So I understand the court's frustration and impatience with her
Mhm.
totally. But do you think it is fair that they said, nope, you have abused too many defense attorneys. You can't find one that's good enough for you. Now you have to do it. You're your own defense attorney. Do you think that's fair?
To a point, I don't,
Okay.
because the whole point of having the a public defender, the public defense portion of criminal court, is because they need to have representation, because they're facing having their liberty taken away. That's why in civil court they don't provide public defense attorneys, because you don't have um, something where you're facing jail.
Right. It's not the same stakes.
It's not the
Yeah.
same stakes, exactly. So I do think that she does need to have counsel, and I do think at least to have someone on standby, someone who's going to be able to guide her through, because she is facing prison, and she will get prison if she goes to trial.
Right.
There's no question. There's too much against her at this point, especially the videos. Putting everything together, you have Sarah's story on one side, and on the direct opposite side, you have what the neighbors say, what Brian says, the timeline of everything with the phone call to the brother, and then also you have the videos. You can't fight those things.
Right.
Those are glaring. It's not just something that can be explained away. Certainly we've seen some crazy things happen in court. Casey Anthony, where it seems like, how is it possible that somebody can be found not guilty when it seems obvious, that they're going to be. But it all comes down to, is the state going to be able to prove their case? And I think by picking second-degree murder, they can absolutely prove that. I think that's very, very easy to do, especially because of the evidence that they do have. This isn't just circumstantial. This isn't, anything like that. They have direct evidence of George suffering inside of a suitcase, in her taunting him.
Right.
And then the result of that is his death. So there's nothing else to conclude from it.
Right.
I think it seems to be pretty easy. Um, but when it comes to, the the position of the court in taking away, I mean, I've never heard of that before. Certainly I'm not an expert, but I haven't heard of someone else being told, well, you don't get any other chances. Because it seems like there are so many awful people that go through the court system, especially in, these horrific crimes that we hear about. And they all have attorneys. Even when it's ridiculous, you have a case like Chandler Holderson. When he went to trial, he had his defense team. How many objections did they give? Basically nothing. They sat there. I mean, truly, because it was like, what are you gonna do?
Right.
So even in cases like we talked about last time, Taylor Shabiznes. Oh my God, she's scary.
Yeah, she
I would
really
be,
is.
yeah, I would be terrified to be sitting next to her. Because she is, well, she proved it to be someone who's going to attack her attorney, but you never know when she's going to do it. She's wild. So there's a lot of people, and they all have attorneys, unless they say they don't want one, like Darryl Brooks.
Right.
But to have somebody who's like, well, you're going to be facing prison for a long time, and you have to do it all yourself. So, I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's possible. That's why it's unfair. There is no way that an uneducated, unqualified person can do that, can defend themselves. There's so much to learn and so much to go through, and she's given a really short amount of time.
Right.
Like, I don't want, I don't want to be on her side. She's an asshole, but it's scary to know that our justice system can do that to you. I know it's extraordinary. Like, this is an extraordinary case, and this does not happen often. I know that. But well, I mean, so I don't think it's fair. I think they should have come to some other solution here. Maybe just tell her, like, this is it. This is your last lawyer. You're not getting another one. You can't fire this one. There's no more chances. Because I understand they're in a position where they can't just keep granting her attorney after attorney. They can't just let her go through them, of course.
Yeah.
But I just don't, it's like not handing her a death sentence, obviously, because the death penalty is not on the table. If it was, it would be a very different story.
It would be different, yeah.
Yeah, I know that. But I mean, they're saying, like, basically kiss your freedom goodbye. There's no way she can get out of this on her own.
So in order for her to get out of this on her own, it's a matter of convincing the jury that the state hasn't proven their case.
Right, because remember, she doesn't she doesn't have the burden of proof.
Correct.
That's on the state. So, but she has no idea about, like, the rules of evidence and where to object against the state if they're doing something improperly. She has no idea. It's just such an impossible thing. That's why lawyers go to school for a long time, and that's why they're so highly paid. Normal people don't have an understanding of the legal system.
Yeah, because the legal system is different. Because, well, I mean, looking at this issue of, is it fair for her to not have counsel? Well, obviously it's legal right?
Right.
So,
Mm-hmm.
it's different. It's kind of like if if the suitcase videos didn't exist, if there was no evidence from the neighbors as witnesses, if there was nothing, if all that anybody had was her story, then the the state would have a difficult time, I think.
Mm-hmm.
How can they prove that she left him in there to die? You know, they would have to prove it though, right? So I mean, a jury wouldn't not be able to rightfully convict her by saying, "Well, I think she did."
Mm-hmm.
It has to be, "I know she did," and that there's not a reasonable doubt there that's stopping me from saying that she did. It's not removing all doubt because that's impossible.
Right.
But is it reasonable? And so it's such a different thing. I think when we're looking at the legal world versus what we think. So it'll be interesting. I mean, because I think that certainly, I don't know if there's anybody who thinks that she stands a chance, and thinks that she has a case here, to be able to beat this.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens when she appeals, because I think that a conviction is pretty certain at this point.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens when she appeals, because that's a definite thing.
Yes, of course. I mean, it might just drag the whole thing out for more years and years. I mean, she could appeal and win the appeal,
Mm-hmm.
and then have to go through a full-blown trial again anyway, or whatever. I don't know, but if she was smart, she would just take a plea. She would be talking about a plea right now.
Yeah, I wonder if that's even something that the state will consider.
Probably not now because she pissed everybody off.
It could be. It could be. I mean, I know of a case where somebody was facing the death penalty, and he went to the state 5 times and said, "I will plead guilty to everything, but take the death penalty off the table and just send me to prison for life."
Mm-hmm.
And the state said no.
Ugh.
Every single time, yeah. So he ended up going to trial. But, so maybe that'll be a situation for Sarah. I just feel, I don't know, I try to, just because of how her personality is and how she doesn't believe any of this is fair. That's basically her case. This isn't fair. You're assuming that I did this intentionally. We were playing. It's something that we did. And, it's unfortunate. This was just a tragic accident.
I'm actually the victim here.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Now I've been in jail for 4 years. I've been away from my son, whom I love with all my heart.
Mm-hmm. All my heart.
Yeah, right. I wonder how many times she'll emphasize things like that.
Yeah.
By saying it just louder. But yeah, I mean, so I don't know if she would take one. So I think 60-40 is kind of a good odds, maybe. Good odd to think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. What do you think? Do you think she would just take it?
Depending what the offer was, of course. Yeah, I think she might.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, like, she knows how in over her head she is. Like, she knows she's screwed.
Yeah.
And I will say this for her. Like, I think she's doing her best.
I agree.
And she says that a lot. I'm just doing my best. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing my best. I think that is true.
I think
I
it
think
is true as
she's,
well.
yeah, I think she's pretty competent as far as like just an average person
I agree.
goes with this. Like during her like hearings that she's had when she with the motions she's put forth, she's just firing off questions. Some of them are really stupid questions,
Hmm.
but I think she's trying to learn as much as she can. She's trying to understand. I feel like I'd just kind of be like a deer in headlights.
I agree. Wouldn't even know where to start.
Wouldn't even know where to start. Exactly. And
Yeah.
I would just throw my hands up and cry.
I know. I
Help me.
know.
Bring what was the attorney, Cashman?
Yeah.
So I'd be like, can you please bring Cashman back? Can you tell her I'm sorry?
I'm sorry. Exactly. I
I didn't mean
know.
it.
I know. Yeah, it would be such a deer in headlights moment. Like when the judge turns to you, do you have any questions? Be like, I don't know. What are questions?
Right.
You
I
know?
don't know anymore.
I
I don't
know.
know.
Yeah. It would be
Can I go
very, very
back to my
overwhelming.
cell now? Can I
I
just
know.
go home? Just put me in prison for life. I give up.
I know. It would be a lot.
But I mean, she's putting in the fight. Like
She really is. I do have to say, I agree. During her hearings, she doesn't sound incompetent. I know that she's asking questions, or she says she doesn't know, she's asking questions that don't make sense, or she can't ask. Those
hmm
things happen. But as a lay person,
yeah,
she's
you don't
doing
know.
she's doing a good job.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like we know from watching all kinds of court cases, and we know with the benefit of having professionals, we're watching like lawyer reacts to Sarah Boone's
Yes.
blah blah blah,
Yes.
and they're like, you can't ask that question, Sarah, and we're like, yeah, you can't ask that
Yeah.
question, Sarah.
You stupid.
Right. So we have that benefit.
um,
She does. She's just on her own. She doesn't
yes.
have YouTube videos to watch
She
lawyer
doesn't know.
reacts.
She can't. She can't.
If
No.
she did, I bet she'd probably do a pretty good job though. If she could sit in her little dorm with her laptop and her headphones on and just watch YouTube videos of like court cases all day and
Yeah.
night. I don't know. I think she'd give any one of us like other like you said like lay people a run for our money.
I agree. Yeah. She brought up another point as well, that she was contesting, was that there's going to be a hearing, like an evidentiary hearing.
hmm
And she wanted to have the media out of it. Um, and you know how angry she is at the media.
hmm
And she feels like it's just for sensationalism, and it's not fair. She did not bring up the point, I think, as clearly, as would have helped her. That's what the lawyers were saying as well, is that she wasn't saying that this could be tainting the jury pool. It's out there so much at this point, that having another hearing that's out there, when normally it wouldn't be.
hmm
But because it's her case, it's drawing so much attention that it's going to be. But she actually won that. The state agreed, or they came to an agreement beforehand as well, that they were going to have this hearing, or it's just going to be a meeting, so to speak, to look at the evidence. And the cameras aren't going to be there because they're going to have it at the jail or some other place like that. It's not going to be an open court. So she did win that. So it was a good point that she brought up as well.
Yeah, she does make some good points.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
hate to give it to her, but
Well, let's take something away, because she does bring up points again and again that are pretty needless. Like, she brought up the point how at one time they did have her address incorrect. And the judge made a statement, put it on the record that they fixed it the very next day.
Mm-hmm.
She brought it up again in how she's not getting, she's submitting notices or she's submitting her motions, and, who knows when you're going to get them, type of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he's basically like, ma'am, we've already talked about that. And then we have the other thing too about the cuff. Like, that should have just been over and done with, and yet she's bringing it up again, and now she's making it more complicated. I want to wear a skirt. Okay, well, you can. There's nothing stopping you from doing that, but you have to understand that the jury's going to see it. Do you care? If you don't care, then okay.
Well, I actually do care, and I'm going to need that cuff secured to a very sexy garter belt.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because obviously she'd want to wear something short.
Why? To charm the jury with her
I don't
sexy?
know.
Maybe she has an idea in her head of what, like, a powerful, like, female defense attorney's gonna wear, right? And she's gonna
like
wear,
a
like,
suit.
the suit, yeah, like the skirt suit.
Yeah.
With the blazer, similar to an 80s reporter, but
but not as great.
Not nearly as great, and with her terrible haircut.
Yeah.
Sarah's hair looks stupid.
What kind of hair would you want her to have?
Well, if she's going to be an attorney,
okay,
she needs, well, now I'm trying to think. I can only think of Camille Vasquez, Johnny Depp's attorney.
Long, flowy, curly hair.
Well, yeah, she's like Sarah Boone's no Camille, so
okay.
Maybe she would do better with an Elaine haircut.
Well, she kind of has that.
She kind of has it now. Yeah, that's true. So I guess it's just a bad haircut. I don't know. Gosh. It was bad when she got arrested too. You think she cuts her own hair?
I don't know. That's a good question. She's had the same hairstyle. It's a lot shorter now. Because when she got arrested, and then also in the body cam footage, she has short hair, but not that short. It's like above her shoulders, like a bob. I guess you would call it. So it's definitely shorter now. But yeah, she's had kind of the same hair.
I don't like it. It would be funny though if she gets her skirt, like she requested, and she's in like her power attorney, her blazer with like the shoulder pads and her sensible high heels, and then she has her hair like cornrows.
Yeah, maybe she will. Yeah.
I love that. The girls like get ready for court, and they're like, I've got court today, can someone do my hair? In the jail they always do cornrows, or like those weird little like half up half down pigtails.
Yes,
they always wear their hair like that. Like, I haven't worn my hair like that since I was 13.
Right.
That is a child hairstyle.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot too. Yeah.
It's a style. It's a style in jail.
It is. So yeah, we'll see what other things she brings up. She's been very, very busy.
Yeah, like you said, I wouldn't even know where to start.
No, it's too much.
I mean, she's done a good job starting with the necessities of how to even access the information that she needs.
Yeah.
Obviously that's step number one. Yeah. But then once you have it all, like, oh my God.
And how is she going to pick a jury? How is she going to review the jury questionnaire? How is she going to do any of that?
Oh man, they're going to take away her right for that too. She's going to be like, nope. She won't be able to pick them.
Yeah.
No one's going to like meet her standards in her head or whatever. And finally they're going to have to be like, okay, we're picking the jury for you.
Oh my gosh, I know. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't leave her to her own devices for anything like that, we already know what's going to happen.
Well, we'll see what her next emotions are that she puts in. But she has a very, very long uphill battle ahead of her.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So, guys, let us know if you guys think it's fair that she is not supplied with an attorney.
Yeah, and try to take the personal bias off the table there. Because I
Yeah.
know when you listen to her, then you're like, yeah, of course it's fair. Fuck her.
Mm-hmm.
She sucks, you know. She shouldn't get the luxury of an attorney. It's not a luxury though, it's a right.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to give that right to even people we don't like.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because that means if she doesn't have that, that means that it can be taken away from you too.
Well, right. That's what's the scary thought.
Yeah. I mean, imagine having to do all this as well, and you don't have the internet. You don't have access to the knowledge that
Right.
everyone else does. You know, they're
To the
expecting you.
laws.
Yeah, they're expecting
Or
you
the-
to defend yourself, and you're like, okay, well, how do I do? Where do I get all the info that I need?
Right. You need to learn it all, but also you don't have access to the material that you need to learn it.
Right. It doesn't sound like they have a law library there. It's never been mentioned.
Oh,
At least that I'm aware of, because all of her materials are just in her dorm.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Even if they did, you just open up a law book, just law, all the different like branches of law too,
Mm-hmm.
even the different branches of like criminal law. And oh my God. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how she could possibly be expected to do it.
Yeah. Well, let us
It's
know
like
what you think. Yep, go ahead.
throwing a 4-year-old into like taking, your college finals or something.
I know. Yeah, I couldn't imagine just being up against something so daunting. But then again, the input that she had for her attorney was basically like she wanted to run the show anyway.
Yeah, true, but using their brain.
True.
And their like experience and understanding of the law.
Yeah, she wanted them to do what she wanted them to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because in that advertisement that she put out,
yeah,
she wants an attorney who's going to accept 100% client participation. 100%.
And also 100% free.
Well, sure. Yeah,
Work
but
for
you're going to be on the world stage.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually kind of surprised that no one has done it.
I am too. Like, I would have thought there would be some like sleazy attorney who would use this to, get their name out there. Like, look at Jose Baez.
Yeah.
He was, not a well-known attorney, and he took Casey Anthony's case, and now he's like not a household name necessarily, but pretty close.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, even somebody who just feels like it's not fair that she doesn't have representation, you're supposed to. It's kind of like, when they say for like a capital defense attorney, like they don't like their clients. Their clients do horrible things, but it's the right of every person who's facing death to have an attorney who's going to fight for them. They have to have it. That's what the Supreme Court says. So it would make sense that someone's going to say, no, this isn't right. It's not right that she doesn't have representation. And then they're going to meet her, and then maybe
they're going to change their mind. Exactly. I was just about to say that.
Yeah. But it is kind of shocking. I mean, they still have time, right? Somebody could step in.
Yeah. They could. The heart of gold.
Yeah. For a little while anyway, until
Mm-hmm.
everyone starts off, green, right?
Right. And then you learn the ways of the world, and
Yeah.
it hardens your little heart. Yeah.
So it's been almost 4 hours.
Oh my God.
So, is anyone there?
Hello.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hopefully everyone enjoyed this. Hopefully listening to those interviews puts a little bit of a timeline together, maybe adds a couple of other pieces of information to the theory, that perhaps the night wasn't as great as Sarah said,
Mm,
that it was.
yeah.
And we'll still say that it was as well. I don't think her story's changed.
We had a good day.
I know, it was great.
It was a good day.
Yeah. So we will leave it here for now. And then next time we're going to look at that body cam footage. And we'll also hear a short interview with the property manager as well, so we can see what it was like having Sarah and George as tenants. So we will see you next time. And until then, take care.